Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could take sweet victory. Know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. Right here.
You are one of one.
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
All right. You know, this is what? Today is the 29th. We're 2 days away from 2026. I hope you're ready for it. There are some people that are writing their business plans of how to go to Minnesota and open up a Leering Center and create some facilities. You're seeing girls being very impressed with guys that have their own facilities. Vinny, I know you've been paying attention to this very closely in Minnesota. Can you guys imagine a 23-year-old guy named Nick Shirley decides to go to Minnesota with a camera and another man who's from Minnesota, been investigating everything. This 42-minute video, if you've not seen this 42-minute video by Nick Shirley that he posted, I don't know how many views it's at right now. That 42-minute video is over 111 million views on X, 536,000 likes, 199,000 retweets. And everybody, this is hundreds of millions of views because it doesn't account for other people that are retweeting. And he's going to all these facilities. This one should have 102 kids, $2.6 million the government fund, and knocking on the doors. Are there any kids here? No. Why not? It's the middle of the week, middle of the day. No. Next one, boom, boom, boom. Hey, are there any kids here in 95? No. Hey, get out of here. Hey, what are you doing here? Turn off the camera. 23-year-old kid is like, what are you guys doing? By the way, while this is happening, you know what's crazy? If we go right now, we'll talk about that here in a minute. CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, any of those guys. This is how much you're talking about it. This is how much you're talking about it. Because a guy named Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are both holding each other, protecting each other, because if one drops the ball and throws the other one under the bus, it's going to be like this. And that's what Tom was talking about yesterday. And then if you're in Iran, folks, things are very nasty in Iran, very, very nasty in Iran. I'm going to show you the numbers. When we left Iran, if you wanted to convert a rial into a dollar, you needed 70 rials to buy $1. Okay, 70 to buy $1. The numbers just came in. Today, if you want to get $1, you need 1,437,502 rials to buy $1.
Unbelievable.
Shopping centers at the bazaar are shutting down. The amount of rioting and protesting right now in Iran, they're so sick and tired of it. And it looks like something's about to happen. If this thing hits to 2 million rials per dollar, it could get pretty nasty. We'll talk about that as well. Iran flat out came out and said, listen, our enemy is Israel. Our enemy is U.S. Our enemy is Europe. They called everybody out that's their enemy. Tom, could you mute yourself because you keep moving paper and I hear it, if you don't mind, until we come to you? Thank you, Mr. Ellsworth. Okay, so next, the fight for young men intensifies ahead of 2026 midterms. They're showing how Trump won the election in 2024 with winning over young men. But now they're saying that Democrats have figured out how to win young men over because they're going to need that for midterms in 2028. We'll talk about that. Musk and Mamdani go back and forth. Musk calls out Mamdani on X. Mamdani calls him back. Vinny's got some thoughts on this. This one story that we have to touch, it may be second or third story we touch. It's this 5% billionaire tax that they want to add into California to some folks there. And David Sachs got involved. Shamat got involved. Apparently, if you're worth $1 billion or more as of January 1st of 2026, they're going to put 5% tax. They want to put 5% tax on your entire net worth. You're worth $7 billion, $6 billion of it on paper. You have to pay them $700 million to the government as if they know how to handle their money. And then video comes out showing how much fraud is going on in California. These guys don't know how to handle money, let alone they want to be able to ask for more taxes. We're definitely covering that. And then a few other things. Jeffrey Epstein's Amazon purchase list came out. Let me say that one more time. Jeffrey Epstein's Amazon purchase list came out. You should see what this guy was buying. Obviously, none of you will be surprised by it, but Adam's definitely not interested in this story, so let me continue. Dana Bash admits border is a story of accomplishment for Donald Trump. Tom wants to talk about that. how Americans are feeling about Trump after his first term in office coming to close. This is Time Magazine. Both Adam and Tom have a lot of thoughts on that. Trump boasts tariffs creating great wealth as he predicts pricing. Tom, are you muted, Tom?
I keep hearing so, yeah.
Yeah, somebody's paper's moving and I hear it. And do you guys hear that paper sound?
Yeah.
No? So I don't know what that is. And I know Adam's not moving. So, Rob, you want to check to see where that sound is coming from while we're going into it? Trump to political midterms elections are about pricing. The fight for young men, we'll talk about that. Bankruptcy soar as companies grapple with inflation and tariffs. By the way, this new rule, I don't know if you guys saw this new rule, new airport DNA law is now in effect as of 12/26, where they can ask for your DNA if you're a non-citizen. Like, you know how you go through TSA? They can ask for your DNA and say, hey, your DNA to give. What are you talking about? Yep, go give us your DNA. While you're going through TSA, non-citizen. So I want to know how you feel about it. But we'll cover that. California's abandons lawsuit challenging Trump's decision to cancel over $4 billion in high-speed rail funds. We'll cover that. And then we got a couple other things with Ilhan Omar's husband, what he was up to with the $30 million firm quietly scrubs names from the website. And then Iran, we'll cover that. 3 in 4 Americans say groceries are so expensive, they've been forced to cut down on other spending. Adam's got thoughts on that. By the way, a couple crazy numbers. You ready for crazy stats? You know, an ounce of silver is worth more than a barrel of oil today. Let me say this to you. An ounce of silver, an ounce, you know those coins you get, is worth more than the big barrel of oil today. And gold just hit $4,500, which is insanity that gold just hit $4,500. Those who bought a bunch of silver 5-10 years ago when there was nothing, you're sitting pretty there. And then we got a bunch of other stories that we'll get into. Trump, Zelenskyy, we got a couple other things that we're going through there as well. Having said that, Vinny, with everything that's going on, okay, with everything that's going on, Vinny, yeah, this last few days, I am watching Vinny going through scripture, Bible, his faith, where he's at, what he's doing, while we're out there jumping on slopes and mountains, doing backflips with our skiing, which, by the way, we just made an announcement, I think 2 nights ago, we will never ski again. Vinny, tell us about your faith over fear merch to the audience here and why it's so important to represent it going into 2026.
Well, thanks, Pat. I just think, well, right now, with everything that's happening, I think the spiritual battle that the nation, that the world is going through right now, I think it's more obvious than I think it's ever been. And I think letting people know, I was watching Gladiator and they kept saying, hold the line. I watched another movie. I was watching Game of Thrones. Hold the line. When it comes to Christianity and your spirituality, I think having faith and not caring about anything. Dylan, I actually, Pat, and you remember this on the plane coming here, guys, on the flight here, the turbulence was so bad. I have a huge, my biggest fear of all is flying. Ask Pat, I'm sitting next to Pat. We're dropping, by the way, we're in Aspen. The mountains are like this. The altitude, it's horrible. And we're coming in for landing, and we finally all nervous. And then Pat's like, ask Dylan, like, Dylan, were you worried? Were you worried? Were you scared about anything? And Dylan, how old is Dylan, Pat?
12.
Pat?
12. He's 12 years old.
Okay, lumps and showman. 12 years old goes, Dad. No, I'm not afraid. I have faith because I'm not scared about anything. Because if anything, God forbid, happens, I'm going to be with God and Jesus Christ in heaven. So again, wearing this shirt, guys, I can't tell you how many messages I get of people seeing the back of faith over fear. And people like, hey, what does that mean? What does Hebrews mean? And then the conversation sparks. And I learned from Dylan at 12 years old, in that moment, what do you have to be afraid of? Nothing. You have nothing to be afraid of if you have faith. And yeah, we have the faith over fear hat. Boom. Just like that. And the Valuetainment. Guys, I rock this all the time. And yeah, if you want, go to vtmerch.com and rock it.
Yeah, go to vtmerch.com and place your order. We got the shirts, the sweaters, the gears. It's exciting. It's exciting seeing what's happening with that. And we got a massive announcement we'll be making in next week when New Year's is here, which we're excited about. All right, let's get right into it. Topic of discussion at the top. The most viral story on X the last 48, 72 hours is Nick Shirley, who went to Minnesota, made this 42-minute video, and they went knocking on all these different businesses, asking, hey, you're supposed to be a school for kids with 102 kids, 99 kids, 68 kids, 73 kids, with all this money. And Vinny, Rob, you got a bunch of these videos that if we can play for these guys, they're going through showing this stuff. This thing gets viral, 111 million views on his Twitter. As of right now, the guy had 200,000 followers-ish right before he launched this video 3-4 days ago. He's got 760,000 followers. This 23-year-old kid is doing more investigative journalism about Minnesota's fraud that's taking place than ABC, CNN, CNBC, you got, NBC, any of these guys. He's going out there saying, I want to find out what's going on. And 42-minute video. Rob, do you have a couple of the clips to show what are some of the things that the world saw when it was going out there knocking on the doors? By the way, when I first saw one of the clips, when Vinny's like, yeah, they're called the Leering Center. I said, what's this Leering Center? Let me go see what it looks like. I watched the whole video. Then I said, I sent it to everybody I know. Just watch this thing on 2.0 speed and see what this kid did. Rob, if you have any of the clips, if you don't have any clips with you, maybe let's go check CNN real quick to see if CNN is talking about this at all. Let's go check ABC. Let's go check, CBS. See if any of these major outlets on their homepage, go to Fox one by one, Rob. Let's check to see if anybody is even talking about the most viral story, exposing Tim Walz, exposing Ilhan Omar, exposing how that one Democrat that voted against it, who Vinny's consistently talked about, how right afterwards she goes and all of a sudden is found killed. Can we zoom in a little bit on those videos to see if there's anything about this? Do you see any of it that's about it? Go a little bit lower. Do you see anything there, Rob? Anything there? Keep going. Is any of those stories about it, Rob? Rob, are you able to speak or no? Okay, if Rob is speaking, I can't hear him. But
Peck,
I'm going to go on.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I hear you now.
Yeah, I don't see a single video here that has anything to do with the Minnesota fraud. Not a single one.
That's ridiculous.
Go to CNN.com. Don't even go to the YouTube page. Just go to CNN.com. Let's go to CNN.com because I'm on CNN.com right now. You got the Netanyahu story. You got nearly 500 women accused LA of OBGYN of decades of abuse. British boxer Anthony Joshua hurt in a fatal car accident in Nigeria. Key takeaways from Trump's Zelenskyy meeting. Nobody wants peace. There's not a single story on the homepage about that. Now go to ABC. If you go to abc.com, let's see what ABC's got. On abc.com, nothing on abc.com news. This is ABC about what happened with Tim Walz and what they found out in Minnesota. If we go to cbs.com, now keep in mind, this is all the people that are supposed to be reporting this, right? This is their job. They went to school to be journalists. But nope, the most viral story, they are not interested in at all because it exposes Democrats, and no wonder people don't trust the mainstream media anymore. If you go to foxnews.com, let's check foxnews.com. If you go to foxnews.com, you will see Minnesota fraud on the second, Tim Walz right at the top. You'll see Minnesota fraud probes raises questions about Ilhan Omar's Somaliland position. You will see a couple stories there about it. Okay. So, Vinny, I'll come to you first. You had a chance to watch the whole thing. I think, Adam, you've seen the whole thing. Tom, you've seen the whole thing. Vinny, where are you at with this? And meanwhile, Rob, if you can pull up a couple videos about it. Vinny, where are you at with this from the first time when we saw about it to now that's gone viral and everyone's talking about it?
Okay, so lumps and Shuman, but okay, so we'll just all together, Pat, I've been trying to piece together, why the mainstream media is not talking about it. And then I kept going back and forth with Tom, and I was like, okay, why out of all the people did Kamala Harris, did the DNC pick Tim Walz to run for vice president? I was like, very, very interesting. And then if you guys remember, by the way, nobody knew who Tim Walz was. And all of a sudden, this guy who now is in one of the biggest scandals in the history of the United States, all right, over $18 billion, they picked that guy. Okay, let's put that to the side. Ilhan Omar, with her husband, net worth going from almost nothing to all these billions of dollars, then, you know, calling everybody racist that they even question it. That was weird. Then you have Melissa Horton, Pat, the one Democrat who voted against giving these illegals in Minnesota health care. She gets assassinated at her house with her husband, and the killer says that Tim Walz also wanted him to kill Amy Klobuchar. It's so insane to me. And then on top of that, there's a realtor in Minnesota that said, and I said Rob the clip, but I'll just say it, 450 houses in one area in Minnesota were bought in cash, turned into fake care centers, and then used to bill the state like clockwork, okay? Neighbors see no patients. All they see is luxury cars. Some of these places taking ex-cons without warning the community. So think about that. And by the way, a little fun fact, by law, realtors aren't even allowed to tell buyers what's happening in that situation, okay? The state sends monthly checks with zero, I'm gonna say that again, zero inspections, and most of the homes have few or no clients, but the cash keeps coming in. And then the fraud, Pat, this, you guys have to understand, this isn't just a couple of Somalis that just came here illegally and they're doing $9 billion worth of fraud. This, to me, goes up the freaking ladder. There is no way, Ilhan Omar, Patrick, there's no way Mrs. Pro-Somalia, another video came out of her saying, I can't wait, one of these days I'm gonna move back and live in Somalia with my child, that person who was so pro-Somalia and anti-America doesn't have an idea. Or Tim Walz, who has been silent. All of them are silent, and they're trying to use that whole white supremacist racist. There's a clip of Tim Walz claiming that everybody is racist. There's another video, Pat, where he's sitting there, and obviously it's a setup, and he looks back, and the old Minnesota flag is there. He removes it and puts the new one that looks almost identical to the Somali flag. All right? And what else was I going to say? There's a chart, Pat, that Rob has that I sent. The child and adult care centers in Minnesota maxing out donations to Somali candidates in Washington. Isn't that weird? What are child daycare centers donating to Democratic people in Washington? Isn't that weird? And Pat, I can't hear you guys right now, but I would like, yeah, look. Oh, isn't that weird? Sunshine Child Care Center. Isn't that a little weird? Isn't that weird? So what are they donating to? Pat, I think this
is what?
Lumps and Chubbit. Let me get out. I'm going to come right back in. Give me 1 second because I want to show you guys a video.
Okay, so Rob, can you do me a favor? This is, folks, if you're watching this, to me, I don't care about whether, you know, I don't have ill intentions towards Somalis or not. I don't care where you're from, what skin color, what ethnicity, what religion. The only thing I care about is, do you come in? Do you make the place better? Do you make the place safer? Do you create jobs for others? Do you love America? Do you go based on our values and principles that the founding fathers created? If you do, fantastic. You love America, great. But I want you to see this chart, Rob. I sent this text to you. Can you hide it real quick? Can you hide it real quick? Can you hide it real quick? Because I want to ask the audience first. If I were to ask you right now, Somalis that go to Minnesota, after having lived in America for 10 years, what percentage of them do you think still take welfare? Let me ask the question one more time. Somalis, after having lived in America, Minnesota, for 10 years, what percentage of them take welfare still after 10 years? Rob, can you pull this up now, please? Watch this, folks. When you look at this chart, it shows, the gray shows Somali immigrant households in Minnesota after 10 years. Look how many of them are still taking welfare.
Does that say 81%? What does that say?
78% of those who have been here more than 10 years. So if some of the newer people that are here, okay, maybe a year, 6 months, 3 months, more than 10 years, 78%. And if you look at native households in Minnesota, look what that number is, 21%. If you go to cash, 25, 27%. Food stamps, 48% of Somalian immigrant households in Minnesota after 10 years are taking food stamps. 68% are taking Medicaid. Are these programs built for other immigrants to come and take what you're paying the taxpayers? Are you okay with that? Because that's what's happening with this. So a lot of American people are sitting there saying, wait a minute, what the hell is going on over here? What are we talking about over here? These numbers just don't add up. Remember, for a second, forget about being a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. Do you like these numbers? Do you like other people coming and taking advantage of the tax-paying money that you're putting in? 78% of them still relying on you to take care of them. Do you like that situation? This is why so many people are upset. Rob, do you have one or two videos for some of the people that haven't seen it on what's going on in Minnesota? And then Tom and Adam, I'm going to come to you guys next. Do you have a video of what happened in Minnesota, Rob, on what Nick Shirley was doing, the great job that he's doing?
Outside of the Leering Daycare Center.
We've already shown that. Do you have any other one outside
we
of
headed
that?
over to the
Do you have anyone outside of that? Because that one we've already shown. Okay.
Yes.
Adam, where are you at with this? I know you're, Minnesota. You got some stories and connections there. And by the way,
Of course.
you guys saw what happened in the Mall of America with the fights and.
Do you have that video, Rob?
Watch this thing.
That's the mall in America?
That's the Mall of America.
Mall,
Yeah,
Mall
right.
of America.
Mall of Somalia.
Imagine you're going Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
That's what Minnesota looks like today. That's America, folks. This is not Somalia. This is America. Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, Nick Shirley is the captain now. So I actually had the pleasure of hanging out with Nick Shirley at James O'Keefe's independent citizen journalist event at Mar-a-Lago 2 months ago. I don't know, Rob, if you have that picture, but there's a famous phrase, if you see something, say something. Well, we've been seeing what's going on in Somaliland, Minnesota, for over a decade now. And this story is personal to me because here's a picture of Nick Shirley, by the way. This story is personal to me. Why? My mom is from Minnesota. Every summer of my life, I would go to Minnesota. I'm born and raised in Miami. My mom's from Minnesota. Every summer, she would ship me off to go stay with my aunt and uncle and family and cousins in Minnesota. And I was the problem child from Miami. And there I am in Minnesota. And growing up in Miami, Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Jews, Christians, it's like a melting pot. Then you go to Minnesota and it's like the lily whitest fairy tale you've ever seen. Scandinavian America. And I remember being there in 2018. Remember there was a Super Bowl in 2018. Dumbest decision ever. In the freezing cold, they had a Super Bowl. And I remember talking to my friends, Humphreys, Pat. I'm like, who are all these people? I've never seen these people. They're like, yeah, they're Somalians. They came in through a church. The Democrats brought them in. And I was like, all right, well, what's their deal? How many people heard of Somalians before 10 years ago? It's not a thing in America. So Nick Shirley, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the government, not the media, not CNN, nothing. A 23-year-old independent journalist who actually won the award at James O'Keefe's event, right, for being the best independent citizen journalist, rolls up in Minnesota and just starts asking questions. I text Nick, this was Saturday night, I go, Nick, your video has 60 million views. PBD, you said it has how much now? 120 million views.
Yep.
So there's this whole conversation of, listen, Somalians built America. That's the people that what? What are we talking about? So here, let me give you one little anecdote, and then I'll drive the point home. Every summer, I'd go to Minnesota and stay with my family. They would let me in. They had a very beautiful house. I would stay with them. Imagine if I was staying with my family. They let me in, but low key, I'm stealing all their money and sending it back to the drug lords in Miami, cocaine cowboys, and they're funding illegal operations. That's what the Somalians have been doing. Forget about bias. They've been funding al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia while being taken in as citizens of our country. This is a slap in the face. This is a Trojan horse. Something's going to get done.
Yeah, I agree. They're making progress. But, Tom, you have a complete different angle on this if you want to take over. Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Of course I can, yes.
Okay. So we've talked about first of all, great connection to Nick Shirley, Adam. And Nick Shirley, Thank you for what you did. But watch me connect these dots. I'm saying, why are the networks not covering the story? Is this really just Republican or Democrat thing? Why? And then when Vinny showed that little receipt that he's got, and Vinny, that is a campaign donation
Yes.
receipt in the state of Washington that was dollars that came from Minnesota, right?
Yep.
Pat, what we are seeing in Minnesota is the biggest campaign finance scam in history. They are laundering money through public assistance programs into the Somali community. The Somali community sends it to Somali. Al-Shabaab gets some of it, and then some of it comes back to Tim Walz's campaign. They've got him by the throat. If he speaks about this, they're going to show that money came back offshore from the campaign to it. I am convinced of this. This is my opinion. This is my deduction. This is what I believe. So I believe that they have checkmated it. And now we're seeing dollars from Minnesota going to Somali candidates in Washington. And why don't the networks talk about it? Who collects all the campaign donations? Campaigns, remember when they say that if you give $1 billion in relief fund to middle class Pat, it runs right to the EBITDA line of Wall Street, right? Because people are going to take it and just buy whatever they want. So, you put $1 trillion in the economy as Biden did, the money's going to end up on Wall Street and the profit lines of Amazon and every company of people buy things. Bingo. Well, guess what? All of the money that comes into campaign finance goes to the network TV. And the networks are being told, stay off this. Because I believe the networks are being told plain, pure, and simple, stay off this story. Because what it's going to do, I believe that all this public assistance money goes offshore, comes back to the campaigns. It's money laundering. And I believe it's the biggest campaign finance story in history. And now the networks are sitting there at gunpoint because they need that money every 2 years because the elections are hugely profitable for network television.
Here's a question, though, Tom. Here's a question. Who's going to throw who under the bus? Is Ilhan Omar behind closed doors saying, Tim, go ahead, I dare you to say something? Because you're complicit yourself. I dare you to say something. So if Tim knew about this, and Ilhan Omar knows that he knew about this, and there's paper trail in text messages and WhatsApp and Signal and videos and exchange and email, I mean, these guys are going to protect each other. It's not like one person's going to jump in and say, hey, if a whistleblower were to come out right now and say some stuff, it would be a very, very interesting thing to see on what's going to happen here. By the way, the one lady that voted against a lot of the stuff who later on got killed, I want you to watch as Democrat. Rob, you have the clip that Vinny was talking about earlier. Watch her reaction of how concerned she is that she was the only Democrat that voted against it 67-1. This is Melissa Hortman. Rob, can you play that clip real quick?
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants.
Weird.
It's a move she made with a heavy heart.
I did what leaders do. I stepped up and I got the job done for the people of Minnesota.
The bill was deeply unpopular with members of the DFL caucus. Members have repeatedly expressed frustration that the bill was part of a compromise, one that would ensure the necessary GOP votes to pass the rest of the state budget.
Vinny, how much longer after that was she killed?
A week. I want to say a week. It wasn't that long, Patrick. Her and her husband, and then that killer went to another place, shot 2 other people, killed one of them, and then in his manifesto said that Tim Walz hired him or wanted him to kill somebody else. Do you understand? And think about it. Look at how emotional she was, because think about it. Those people that she's like, hey guys, because Pat, she has a heart. She's like, that money, I'm sorry, should be going to other. She understands that these people don't have anything. They're coming from a third world country. But what's fair is fair to the people. And then Pat, it's not, when I say this goes all the way to Washington, I sent Rob this clip of a tweet that Kamala Harris posted. It was in September 10th, 2024. Kamala tweeted, I was raised a middle-class child And I'm the only person on the debate stage tonight who has a plan to lift up the middle class and the working people of America. And then, Rob, if you could pull this up, Minnesota staff fraud reporting replied. And Rob, can you pull that one up? And I'll read what they wrote, Pat. Look at the chart that they put up. They said, Ms. Harris, please listen to Minnesota state employees who work every day to deliver best services possible to our state and people who expect no less and pay our wages. Tim Walz has caused incredible harm to our state and agencies, retaliated against whistleblowers, against fraud. Rob, you have that chart. You put it up a couple seconds ago that had the 250 million on the top. Could you put that one up? And that tweet. She's posting about the middle class, and Pat, they posted that under the reply. Look at the whistleblower. The whistleblower is screaming, 500 and 922 million dollars. They've been saying it. They've been trying to blow the whistle. And Tim Walz, in my opinion, you're involved. He has to know. If you're shutting up whistleblowers, then you're involved. And one last thing, Pat, because I know you want to move on. Nick Shirley did this as well, if you don't mind me doing it. The Sweet Angel Childcare. And Rob, if you want to put up the Google link, the phone number to this place goes to, guess where, Adam? Tim Walz's office. Why is one of these daycares, if you call, here's the number, Pat. I'm going to call. I'm going to put on speakerphone. Let's see. Let's see where this number's going.
Get out of here.
The one on the top. The Sweet Angel. That's the one right there, Rob.
Thank you for contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz.
Get out of here.
Oh, Pat, isn't that weird?
Sweet Angel Children.
Why?
Is this?
Can you read the number for us to match it?
Pat, the number is 651 201 3400.
That's the exact. Zoom in a little bit on that number, Rob, for Sweet Angel Childcare.
Why, hey Patrick? Why in God's name would it go to Tim Walz's office? Huh?
I just searched it at Minnesota.gov. That's a match.
Wow.
So,
well,
do we have a number to the Leering Center where all the Somali kids were leering every single day?
I want to do this one thing before we move on to the next story, because we got a lot more stories to go through. Rob, can you show one of the clips, especially the lady that just shuts the door on Nick? If you can show that one clip, and then we'll move on if the audience hasn't seen this yet. Go ahead, Rob. Watch this, folks. You're going to get very upset.
In here in your child care?
Which child care name is a lot of
Minnesota Child Care right here. It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
Where the children are?
Yeah, where are the children? It says
Covering
you have
her
102
face.
children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley.
And where are you? Which department? That is harassment.
Oh, we are from ourselves.
That's harassment.
Hello.
This
we'd
is
like to
harassment,
ask where
asking
the money goes.
questions.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look
This
at
is
that.
in America.
Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center. And look at this daycare center right here. No children inside of this daycare center. But between those buildings, over $2.6 million.
Tom, how much money
they're trying to make it about the kids to avoid
Tom, how much money are they saying that
is
this is going to be? How many billions? Potentially? I've heard 9
9
billion.
9.
We're up to 10, 9.2 I've seen,
Okay.
but it was half of 18, right? So that's what everybody's talking
I
about.
just want to say the people of Minnesota deserve so much better than this. You know, Pat, you always say elections have consequences. These are the consequences of voting in Tim Walz, of voting in Ilhan Omar, of voting in Amy Klobuchar. Hold on, Vinny. How many small business owners out there have been rejected? You know, Valuetainment, Bet David Consulting, shout out to those guys doing great work. How many small business owners do we deal with that are looking for funding? They're looking for grants. They're looking for loans and have been rejected by the federal government, by state government, whatever it is. And they're just funneling money to these literal Somali pirates. And it's a slap in the face to every hardworking American.
It really is.
This is where your tax funding is going.
You're
It's
making
BS.
you're making a very good point about the fact that, you know, how about the people of Minnesota that actually want to create jobs instead of these guys that are coming in here to want to take advantage of the system? But, you know, it got so viral that guess who had to respond to it?
Tim
a guy
Walz?
named Cash Patel.
Oh, wow.
Kash Patel, the director of FBI, tweeted this, and I responded to it. Rob, if you want to pull up my tweet, and let's read Kash Patel's tweet first, and then I will give my thoughts on why, a couple concerns I got. So this is Kash Patel's tweet. Rob, if you can zoom in a little bit, my eyes are, I got to do one of these things here. Zoom in. So the FBI is aware of the recent social media reports in Minnesota. However, even before the public conversation escalated online, the FBI had surged personal and investigative resources to Minnesota to dismantle large-scale fraud schemes, exploiting federal programs. Fraud that steals from taxpayers and robs vulnerable children will remain a top FBI priority in Minnesota and nationwide. To date, the FBI dismantled a $250 million scheme that stole federal food aid meant for vulnerable children during COVID. The investigation exposed sham vendors, shell companies, and large-scale money laundering. The case led to 78 indictments, 57 convictions. Defendants included, he's got all these difficult names to read. These criminals didn't just engage in historic fraud, but try to subvert justice as well. Abmijad, Mohammed Noor, and others were charged for attempting to bribe a juror for $120,000 in cash. He goes into it, right? Not once does he give credit to Nick Shirley. So here's my response. My response was the following. Respectfully, why not hold a major press conference on this issue like you did with the NBA gambling scandal? Why not bring in Nick Shirley, recognize him for his work in fraud in Minnesota? I'm not an insider, but I encourage you to be more aggressive and public about it. By the way, why not even include Nick Shirley's name in that tweet? Why not give the guy credit? By the way, don't you want more younger guys like that and gals that want to go to investigative journalism? There's a clip of Nick Shirley in the streets of Minnesota while he's going around. Guy is hitting him. A Somali guy is hitting him and hitting the camera. I don't know if you saw this clip or not, Rob. A guy's hitting him and hitting the camera guy. And this is not a UFC fighter. This is a guy that loves America, that wants to go out there and expose what's going on. So to me, you got press conferences that Kash has done. It's been 4 of them now. If you go search this, I think it's 4 of them that he's done. You guys can verify this. One of them was the NBA scandal. Another one was the Charlie Kirk assassination. Then they had a couple other ones that they did. One of them was with the president, but nothing on Minnesota. I would highly encourage. And when you did the NBA scandal, what did you give us? Nothing. It was just, we're investigating a gambling scandal in the NBA. Okay, great.
We expect more big names.
What's bigger, this or NBA scandal? Who gives, like, the NBA scandal is like second-rate amateur stuff versus this is like PhD level fraud at the highest level that's a threat to the entire country. So my hope is that, I know the president is very big on edifying and building people up. I wouldn't be surprised if the president built up Nick Shirley and give him some recognition and brought him to the White House. But I would like to see the director of FBI be a little bit more aggressive, assertive about it. And for something this massive, I would expect a press conference today, tomorrow, latest by Wednesday. If we don't see it, I think they're just being casual about it. And the criticism that they're giving to the FBI, I think it's valid. If you take this long after the most viral story in America on news of what's going on in Minnesota, you don't say nothing, then guess what? You're being casual, and you deserve every criticism you're getting from some of the people out there that were for you originally that now are saying, I'm sorry, Kash, you're not coming through. Right. I think some of that is...
And Pat, it's not just Kash, because Kash has been in power for not even a year yet. Let's give a shout out to James Comey, former FBI director, Andy McCabe, former FBI director, Christopher Wray. Guys, what are you guys doing? You're running the FBI. A 23-year-old citizen journalist just showed everybody up.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference, Adam. And you have to know, here's the big difference. Kash came in like this.
Yep.
That I'm going to go after everybody. Well, if you're going to go like this, hey, the gorilla's here. The silverback is here. We're going to take over. Show up. Show up and go handle business in Minnesota. Get on a private jet that you've been flying and take that PJ of yours to Minnesota in front of a facility of us seeing people getting arrested and show America how assertive you are. He's capable of doing that. This is a guy that's not a guy that's afraid. He's not a guy that's scared of stuff like Kash is not a pansy. No. Kash is a tough guy, but this is a time to deliver. This was massive. Credit goes to Nick Shirley. I want to get to the next story here. The next story I want to get into is having to do what California is doing. Californians, a week ago or so, just recently, took a bill to the Attorney General that they want it to be on the 2026 November ballot for people to vote for, to give 5% tax on anyone that's worth $1 billion or more in the state of California, effective January 1st, 2026. So if you live in California as of 1/1/2026, and you're one of the 199 billionaires that lives in California, they want to tax you 5% of your net worth, not your cash, net worth. This is unrealized gains. This is you own a company worth $400 million. They want to tax you 5% of that, whatever equity you own. And what they're saying they want to do with this is that's going to give them $100 billion. Of the $100 billion that they collect from billionaires, the 199, they want to take 90 billion and put it on their broken healthcare system that they have. And they want to take 10 billion and put it on their broken education that they have, which most likely this stuff is going to go to illegal immigrants that are coming. It's not going to go to the people that really need it. It's going to go to others. And then, by the way, check this out. The number that some people are, come on, this is not going to happen. There's no way people are going to vote for this and all this other stuff. They need 875,000-ish signatures by spring of 2026 is what they need to make it on the ballot. If they get the 875,000 signatures, which, by the way, how hard is it? You got 40 million people living in California. Only 199 people are going to be affected by this. Do you not think out of the 40 million people that live in California, they can find 875,000 to vote to destroy this 199? Don't you think they're going to be able to pull that off? Of course they're going to be able to pull that off. So the question then becomes, what the hell is California thinking? Yesterday, Ro Khanna was going back and forth with myself, with Shamat, with Jason, with David, with Tom, and all these guys that are going back and forth talking to them about this 5% billionaire tax, as if these 199 billionaires don't have a place to go, as if Texas won't gladly welcome them, as if Florida won't gladly welcome them, as if Tennessee won't gladly welcome them. You know how many people will gladly welcome founders, investors, PE guys that are willing to create jobs? Anybody and everybody. So I'll pause here. Tom, I'm going to come to you because I got a lot of stuff to say about this, but I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts on this issue and where are you at with it?
Boy, where to start? And I would try to go quick and hit this bang, bang, bang. First of all, to get it on the ballot, here's what they did. If Gavin Newsom says, I'm going to use my pen and I'm going to edict it, he's got a problem. He's going to catch all the flack. Ro Khanna comes out and says, hey, I'm in favor of that. But did he put his name on it? No, he didn't put his name on it. So he doesn't be there. What they did is they went to SEIU, which is a union, Service Employees International Union, and they went United Healthcare West Union. Do you know how many people, how many members SEIU has in California? 496,000. 400,000 are regular workers, 96,000 are state workers. So they got the unions, Pat, to sponsor the ballot measure. That way, Ro Khanna is, oh, no, this is the people. What is more people-oriented than the workers and a union? What is more patriotic than a union of workers standing up and saying, let's use the process of democracy. Let's put something on the ballot and let all people vote for it. That's where this came from. So Ro Khanna and others are not actually kind of sponsors, so co-sponsors in a traditional sense. They've kind of got it on the ballot thanks to the union. Step one. Step two, they got all these union people. They're going to get the signatures from the union sponsors. Everybody can say, hey, Pat, you're in the union. Remember, you pay $19 a paycheck. We're trying to get you benefits. Sign. So all the union people don't have any. They're going to know who's naughty and nice and who's signed. So that's step one. Step two is they didn't just decide they're going to make it another tax. All they had to do is say, hey, top tax, I think, is now 13.3% for your wealthy dollars, I think under 300,000, something like that. Just put 2% on it. They didn't want to do that. I'll tell you why. Once the Democrats put a knob on the dashboard that says new tax, what do? They turn the knob, and it doesn't say 5% anymore. It says 6%, 7%, 8%. Or they say, oh, this will be 5% every 4 years. They're gonna come back to it. That's the way it works. Point two. And then point three, People are not being told the truth. All of these billionaires have already been taxed on the money. Or as soon as they cash that stock or it goes public or they sell their company, they will get taxed on the money. You know it. I know it, Pat. You have experienced it personally living in California. It's a big tax. It is a lot of tax to pay for the weather, which is provided by God. And I don't think God gets much of the money that they tax. So you have to take and look at it both sides and say, wait a minute, this is not a tax. This is asset seizure. That is my opinion. This is asset seizure, which is contemplated, which is going to be recurring, and it's designed to erode the billionaires. And California just wants to be the first, but the other blue states will follow.
Yeah, and by the way, while we're going through this, Ro Khanna, who's been the biggest one vocal about this on X, if you look at what he says at the top of his Twitter account, he posts and he pinned it. His district that he is in, okay, his district that he's in, within a 50-mile radius is $18 trillion of the stock market is within a 50-mile radius of his district.
Jeez.
$18 trillion. If you go a little bit lower up, $18 trillion within 50-mile radius. And he says we have 5 companies with a market cap of over $1 trillion. If I can stand up for billionaire tax, this is not a hard position for 434 other members of 100 Senate. So what he's trying to say is, imagine you're local, you're representing these guys, and a third of them are in your county, and you're going to want 5% from all of them. Then when he's going back and forth, they're like, well, what if we do 1%, every year over 5 years? And then it's like, well, what if we just do 2%? And then, David comes back and he says, what if we put the 2% under 13.3%? He says, the reality of it is, don't lie to people. You're not trying to get $100 billion to help with California. You're trying to destroy the billionaires' influence and power in California to make them weaker. That's what you're trying to do. Because, Rob, can you play that clip that just came out, guys? This is a week ago of what's going on with California. So you tell me, after watching this clip, Rob, that I just texted you, you tell me if California has the authority and a moral authority to ask for more taxes after this was just exposed under Newsom's watch. Go ahead, Rob.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent, Alana Austin, is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement, as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track.
I believe we talked about this on Friday, but the reason why I'm showing you this is the following. Here's what I'm showing you. So imagine your kids. So for those of you that have kids, your kid comes to you and says, Dad, I need to borrow $20,000. You said, what? I need to borrow $20,000. For what? I want to start a business with Joey and Nikki. Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, $20,000. What plans do you guys have? Boom, boom, boom. They show it to you. You give them $20,000. They come back and they turn it into a Shopify business and they make $380,000. So it's like that $20,000 turned into $380,000. So your $20,000 is now worth $80,000. No way. Yes. Perfect. So your son now says, Dad, we need $200,000 because we feel with the $200,000 we can hire this and we can invest into this, and we can take that $200,000 and make that $280,000 business into $1 million. Now you're going to sit there and say, okay, the 20 turned into 80. Let me give the 200,000. If you do, you give the 200,000, all of a sudden they take the Shopify business from 280 to 1.8 million. Do you think the third time around when they come back to you, what are you going to say? How much do you need? Because you're making all this money, right? Okay, stay with me. Flip it. Your son comes to you, Dad, I need $200,000. We're going to, me and, Nikki and our friends, we're going to start this business. 3 weeks later, that $20,000 is gone. They come back, Dad, I need $30,000. Why? That idea didn't work because it was, but we need another $20,000. If you keep giving your son $20,000 and he keeps failing, you're the idiot if you keep doing that. This is the same exact thing as Newsom coming to the people of California asking for more and more taxes, and they keep giving it to them, and they say, yes, let's do it. While how many of those Palisades homes have been fixed so far? How many of them? How many of them got the permits and they're already done, up and running? What happened with the $24 billion homeless bill that he was going to? What happened with that train that you promised? What? Nothing? So does he have moral authority to ask more? If he doesn't, he doesn't. By the way, in many, many years ago, Abraham Lincoln, when war happened, he came and asked the American people before we had income taxes. He said, folks, we need you to help us pay for this war. The American people are like, this is crazy. Lincoln came. The American people, they had a certain category of how much taxes they were paying. They paid Lincoln and the U.S. government taxes. He says, once we pay off the debt we had for the war, tax will go away. You know what happened 7 years later? What do you think happened to the taxes? Some of you guys are probably saying it stayed forever. No, it went away. Really? That's why they called Abraham Lincoln Honest Abe. That's how it's supposed to be. Now, everything is permanent taxes. So, of course, the job creators of California are sitting there saying, this guy's full of it. He's a clown, what they're talking about. They want more money in the state of California. Adam, your thoughts on this?
So we need to stop villainizing billionaires in America. Guys, where do we think jobs come from? We all have jobs. Everyone watching this is a job. Do you think jobs are just falling from the sky? Oh, there's a job tree. 85 to 90% of jobs in America are created by the private sector. The small business owners, the people that are starting companies, the entrepreneurs, the hustlers out there. Those are the people that start companies. And they deserve to reap what they sow. If their company does well, they should reap those rewards. 10 to 15% of jobs in America are created by the government. Do you want the government being in charge of all the money? State government? Did we not just learn from in Minnesota? California? I think every single state out there should have a Doge team. Let's start with Minnesota and California. Boom, boom, those two. So we need to stop villainizing these billionaires. By the way, you know the jerky boys thing we always talk about, Vinny? Pablo, come to Florida. Pablo, come to Florida. Hey, billionaires, come to Florida. We love you. We appreciate you. We had a mayor for the last 10 years, Mayor Francis Suarez, good friend of ours. He sent out a forward tweet, I believe, during COVID. It was, how can I help? And all of a sudden, Silicon Valley and people from New York and California and Chicago said, you know what? Here's how you can help. Let me go to Florida where there's no state tax, where there's no income tax. Maybe we'll do that. And they did. There you go. Shout out to Francis Suarez right there. And then, so the billionaire, guys, let's just do a little math here. We don't appreciate billionaires. AOC wants to tax the rich. So we all love our jobs. We want to have jobs. We want to have income. We all love innovation. We all love tech. We're all on social media. We're all on our phones. We're all watching this on a phone or a TV that a company created. All our retirement accounts are at all-time highs. But you hate the people that made that all possible. It's so backwards and it's such BS. And we wonder why the young generation veers more towards socialism and communism than capitalism, because we don't appreciate the job creators and the innovators.
Pat, can I just one question from a guy that's not deep into this world? It's no secret. How many more bad decisions does this party, does the left, do the Democrats have to continue to keep doing, and the people keep letting these people stay in power? It boggles my mind because I'm sitting back watching it. I left California, as you guys all know, for a myriad of reasons. how much more from the violence, from the wasting $24 billion on a homeless situation that multiplied homelessness, zero accountability, that rail thing that he wanted, spent billions, zero accountability. Now you have ideas like this where you're literally going to have the richest people who are creating the most jobs leave your state. At what point are they going to have a mental revolution, Pat? All these Democrat-loving, liberal, brainwashed people, and trust me, I have them in my family, that are going to say, guys, enough is enough. Enough. I know it sucks. To hell with this blind loyalty to a party. It's the decisions, it's the policies. Pat, am I losing my mind? Am I off my rocker?
You're not. Here's there are so many quotes about don't waste your time arguing with an idiot because within 30 minutes you're the second idiot, right? All the stuff that you kind of hear about. But the reality of it is the Democratic Party is a religion. It's not a political party. It's a religion. And when it's a religion, you have fanaticals that no matter what happens, they have to support it. Do you think all these people that were pro-transgender all of a sudden overnight were like that 10 years prior to that? No. What happened to them? It's because their cult leader, their religion leader said that's the case. They followed suit. They're like, yeah, that's where I'm going to go with it. So it's but you're dealing, again, remember, just think like what percentage of our audience is the 12% of America that are independent, critical thinkers that are like, yeah, I don't know if I agree with you. Yeah, like the other day at the Aspen, we're walking around, 7 people are standing. Oh my God, what's up, PBD podcast? You know what? I agree with 99% of what you say, Pat. I agree with 99% of what you say. We walk away. Dylan says to you, what is the 1% you don't agree with, right? Yeah. But there's these critical thinkers, the independent thinkers that are going to be running America in the future. That's the reality of it. So we need to make sure they are getting their answers given to them in the most logical, reasonable way where they walk away and have dinner with their wife and kids and their husbands and their family. Send us, what, today on the podcast, I saw this. What do you think about it? Well, let me tell you what they said about this. Why should California have the right? That's what you want to do. Our goal with PBD Podcast is to create thousands of conversations. That's all it is. By reasonable people who are critical thinkers, who can get other people to think, and then eventually that expands. So I think we have to focus on the people that are willing to reason versus the people that are sitting there saying, no, I'm part of a religion, a part of a cult. You can never change my mind. Let me get to the next
Pat,
story.
can I ask you a question, Pat? Because this is personal for you, like the Minnesota thing was me. I remember the love letter you wrote to California when you left California. And then I remember in 2020, you were deciding, where should we take Valuetainment? If you recall, you were considering going back to California. You were considering New York. Obviously, we ended up moving to Florida. So it's not just the people who are going to leave California, the billionaire tax. There's reasonable business owners who are trying to build businesses and saying, where should I go? Why would you move to California at this point?
If a person is aspirational with big dreams and big plans, and by the way, some guy yesterday on the tweet responded to one of my tweets and he says, there's more to California than this, all the talent pool, all the this. No one's ever going to leave California and Silicon Valley because all the talent pool is here. I'm like, what an arrogant position for you to take. Where the hell do you think Hollywood was before it moved to Burbank and Hollywood? Where do you think it was?
New Jersey.
And why do you think they left New Jersey? Because Thomas Edison had so much control over all the movies that they were making. It got so overregulated that the creators are like, screw you. I'm moving to California. And at that time, California created some tax benefits for movie makers and studios. So they moved there. These clowns to think somebody else is not going to create better incentives in a different marketplace. All this arrogance of people will never leave California. The weather is not that much worth it, guys. A billionaire can get on a PJ, go to Napa Valley, drink as much wine as he wants, get back on the jet, go back home, and he can live in South Dakota if he wants to. It's not that big of a deal. So, once you create wealth, you don't, this is not the days of trying to scare the crap out of these guys. I think there's going to be some massive disruption, but we'll see what happens next.
Come to Miami, all you billionaires. The weather's just fine.
Only the logical ones. Only the logical ones. All right, let me get to the next one here. Next story I want to get into is Musk hits Mamdani, and then Mamdani hits back. So, Rob, if you want to pull that up. Musk hits Mamdani for appointing non-firefighter to the fire department of New York. Let me say this to you. A non-firefighter became appointed for fire department of New York, and Elon said, people will die. Okay, Elon says people will die because of this. Proven experience matters when lives are at stake. Zohran Mamdani appoints Lillian Bonsigno as the new FDNY commissioner, although she's never served as a Rob, keep that tweet up. Although she's never served as a firefighter. Rob, can you keep that tweet up? I was reading it. Although she's never served as a firefighter, she's confident that won't matter. Bonsier is a trailblazer for the LGBTQ community. Tell me how much that makes sense. Vinny, I'm going to come to you.
Well, I mean, January is going to be one of those, like, let's see if the proof is in the pudding. And guess what? Mamdani's going to show it to you. All the people in New York, all the young people, all the white liberal women, they're like, yeah. And all the young people are like, he's going to give us free stuff. You're all going to see it come crashing down. He, on top of this, appointing while you were saying it, I'm like, appointing someone who has never even been a firefighter to run the fire department is like hiring a vegan to run a steakhouse because they said, oh, I love cows. It doesn't work like that. You have to know the ins and outs of everything. You've had to have lived the life, Pat. And that's, by the way, this is the tip of the iceberg. He also hired an ex-con who was in prison for kidnapping and armed robbery to guess what? To work in the Community Safety Advisory Board. What are we even talking about here? So listen, Elon is right, Pat, and I feel bad for the New Yorkers because everything that we've warned you about and we've told you guys about, January it starts, and I'm telling you right now, this is going to cause a lot of harm. Just like we saw with in California with all the fires, when all of a sudden we started peeling back the layers, and you're like, wait a minute, this chick is running this? She's never done that. What? And look at how it all fell down. It's not going to look good, Pat. They keep confusing symbolism with leadership, and the people are going to be the ones that pay the price. So you're going to see it. It's going to happen. Yeah, and look at that. That's Mamdani. He appointed a convicted armed robbery to a transition team. Good luck. Good luck, New York. And by the way, Mamdani, really, really close to the LGBTQ community. I'm very curious why a Muslim man who, by the way, I'm reading the Quran right now. You guys have no idea the attitude towards these people, towards women and gays. It's kind of weird that he's so pro-trans, so pro-gay, and putting up people in positions that don't belong there. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that you connect the dots of what he's actually doing. What is he up to? I'm very curious.
There's a brief story, and Pat would know this about what happened in Iran. The Red-Green Alliance is real, and it's happened in 1979. The Islamists team up with the communists, and they overthrow governments, and they try to put their Sharia law in there. And then you know what happens to all the communists and the Marxists and the socialists? Once they get power, the Islamists kill them. So that's what's happened in Iran, which I'm sure we'll cover. But back to New York, is there a bigger dichotomy of ideology and belief and doing things than Elon Musk and Zohran Mamdani? We talked about builders versus destroyers, how it's so easy to destroy and tear down. It's hard to build. There's only two ways to have the biggest building. You actually build a building that's taller than the biggest building, or you just tear down all the other buildings. So Elon Musk is a full-on capitalist, unapologetic, and Zohran Mamdani is a democratic socialist Islamist. So he believes in wealth redistribution, and Elon Musk is creating wealth. So here's my advice for people in New York. Stop listening to what Zohran Mamdani says. Just watch what he does. Watch who he brings into his cabinet. Watch how the taxes will go up. Watch what happens. Forget about your feelings. Watch what actually happens to your city with these nonsensical people that he puts into power.
By the way, Rob, can you pull up the tweet by Mamdani responding to Musk? Yeah, so here's a tweet, and I want you to hear from this chief commissioner of the fire department in New York. He responds to Elon, experience does matter, which is why I appointed the person who spent more than 30 years at EMS. You know, the workforce that addresses at least 70% of all calls coming into the fire department of New York. Rob, do you have that clip I sent you with her speaking? This is the commissioner, by the way, of the fire department of New York. Let me know if you're worried about your fire in New York when something happens. Can you pull up this clip, Rob? That I just texted it to you.
Is a career first responder. In just 9 days, she'll be running the world's busiest fire department. One of the most important appointments, of the incoming administration.
And they deserve a leader who cares about their work because she did it herself.
Where's the girl?
Who understands every detail and who will fight tirelessly to empower FDNY and make it the best firefighting force in the world.
Lillian Bonsignor began her career as an EMT in 1991 and was ultimately promoted to chief of the city's EMS division, where she served for 3 years before retiring in 2022. Although she never served as a firefighter, she's confident that won't matter.
I know the job. I know what the firefighters need, and I can translate that to this administration who's willing to listen. I know what EMS needs. I have been EMS for 30 plus years.
Bonsignor is a trailblazer for the LGBTQ community, who will serve as the FDNY's first openly gay commissioner. She's a highly respected, detail-oriented manager whose style has been compared to NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who will remain in her post in the new administration.
I'm so confused. I have no idea what the hell is going on right now. I'm so lost.
At least they check the DEI LGBT box.
Let me just show you something. Rob, did you guys see the video of the female cop that was trying to get this guy in the middle of the freeway 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and what the guy did to the female cop? Did you guys see this video or not? Have you guys seen it?
I saw it. I saw it.
Rob, can you pull this up? What I just sent you. And when you pull it up, Rob, can you go right in the middle of it? Go to like the second 50. Go to 52nd right there. Watch this, folks. That's a cop car, okay, that pulls up. That video is a TMZ video. This is Seattle, Washington State. Go ahead. So that's the patrol car. She's trying to find out what the hell is going on with this guy in the middle of the street. And look what he does. He all of a sudden pulls up. He's like, what are you going to do about it? Watch this. Pulls up, opens the door. Keep in mind, this is a cop in Seattle.
He leaves the, what the hell is she doing?
That's her. What? Boom, drops the cop.
Oh my God. Oh.
And he drives off.
Brother, if there's guns in the car, she could have shot him. Or she should have shot him.
Drives off. So you know what the moral of the story is? You ever hear me give that stat about all these people that are the jobs that are men do and in jobs that women do? I don't want a man at a daycare babysitting my kids. I don't. I want a woman. They're more gentle. They're more loving. They're more caring. Yesterday, we were at the movie theater. One of our guys' son has diarrhea. TMI for you guys. Do you know how many times she takes him to the bathroom to change the diapers? Over and over and over, and loving and caring and doing all this. Imagine the day that Adam's got a kid and that boy's got diarrhea 7 times in a row. Can you guys visualize Adam changing diapers? Can you visualize that picture right there? Adam right now is getting second thoughts of even thinking about having kids. And last week he was open to the idea. Now he probably is delaying that for another 15 more years. What's the moral of the story? Nothing against women and men. There are certain jobs I just don't want to see a man doing. And there are certain jobs I just don't want to see a woman doing. And so for you to say a fire, the commissioner of the fire department, the logic to say, we need a lesbian chief commissioner to be up there doing that because we feel safer. I wonder how many New Yorkers who are willing to set aside their politics will say, yeah, that's the right decision. I feel so much safer now. Tom, I'll give you the final thoughts on this.
Yeah, 30 years answering 911 calls. Is that important? Yes. Does that give you exposure to the problems? Yes. Does it allow you to look at data and say how many fire calls, how many paramedic heart attack calls, how many this? But you know what it doesn't give you? It doesn't give you the moral authority to look all of the battalion chiefs in the eyes and say, what equipment do you need in the parts of New York City where you have crumbling buildings and your team is expected to go in there to rescue people and to save lives? What is the equipment that you need in there? What's different? What are the training that we need? What is change going on here? This is a symbolic hire. I don't care what her background is. I actually don't. Do I think that she was probably a good manager? He, she, whatever she identifies at. I will give her the respect of her pronouns while not, belittling. But the point is, you've been answering 9 911 calls, and now you've got the entire chief. The reason that you needed a police chief that represented the police chief, because there's a hell of a difference between answering a 911 call and people understanding what it's like to be shot at by people you're trying to arrest. That's why that's important. So don't you think it's important that someone that's been out there, because remember, New York is not perfect. The streets are narrow. The complications are many. The infrastructure is difficult. The buildings are old. The buildings are tall. And these people fearlessly walk inside to save lives every day. Do I want a battalion chief who rose through the ranks, that understands all that, that's been there, that can say, I don't know which of the city recommended this model fire truck because it didn't work. These three were great. I want that guy. And I want that guy there for the safety. Except for talking about the safety in New York City, you want somebody there. And this, to me, is a symbolic hire, which is DEI, and trying to say, well, did answer the 911 calls. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it as an excuse for qualifications.
Pat, just, I know, like 20 seconds. I kind of brushed over it, but I want to make that point clear. Like, Mamdani to me is like the Trojan horse. Pat, think about it. He's hiring ex-convicts from prison for robbery and kidnapping to head the Community Safety Advisory Board. He was in a church with a gay LGBTQ that's like, hey, the children. So he's pushing the ideology on the children. And now you're hiring a he, she, whatever that's never been a fireman. It's almost as if he's coming with that smile and he's slowly going to destroy the freaking community. Guys, Adam, I'm not playing it lightly. That's like a Trojan horse, and he's doing it with that stupid face. When you look at the history and you look at what he actually wants to do, that's the Trojan horse, and he's trying to destroy a freaking city, just like they're doing in Minnesota, and just how they're trying to do that shit in freaking Texas. Sorry for my language.
Interesting. I'm just excited for the 2026 fireman calendar of the year. You know, we've seen these calendars. It'll be littered with they, them, trans, LGBT. And you know, they say that facts don't care about your feelings. Well, fires don't care about your feelings. We saw what happened in California when the Palisades burnt down. God forbid something ridiculous happens in New York. I'm just warning New York, be smart.
And by the way, you know how Andrew Schultz said many years ago, he said, you know, I judge a great president by the way he moves merch. He said, Biden doesn't know how to move merch. Trump knows how to move merch, right? I wonder how much merch those calendars are going to sell of Fire Department of New York. I'd love to see her be in it. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe 50 million people order it and you see it in offices.
They will.
And I have no problem being wrong. And if 50 million sell, I'll buy 5 of them myself and hand it over to Vinny, Adam, and Tom and Humberto. But anyways,
I need Tabasco for my eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue with this one. Let's go to the next story. Okay, Iran is upset, and they came out flat out, no longer holding back. I mean, it's not like they've been holding back for 46 years, but Iran declares total war against U.S., Israel, and Europe as Islamic Republic seeks to expand nuclear facilities, meaning we don't give a shit if you want to do it because the sanctions right now are so bad in Iran. Let me read this to you. Iran's president declared war against U.S., Israel, Europe, just as Tehran looks to rebuild its nuclear capabilities. Masoud Pezeshkian made the bold statement in an interview published in state media Saturday. Barron's reported, in my opinion, we are at total war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe. They want to bring our country to its knees, Pezeshkian said. This war, listen to what he says. This war is worse than the one launched against the U.S. by Iraq. This is in the 80s when Saddam Hussein was there. On closer inspection, it is far more complex and difficult, he said in a reference to the 1980 to 88 war with Iran's western neighbor, which when I lived in Iran, in Tehran during those 8 years as well, the claims come amid UN sanctions on Iran orchestrated by France, Britain, and Germany due to the regime's continued pursuit of nuclear weapons. It also followed the 12-day war with Israel in June, when the Jewish state obliterated much of the Islamic Republic's nuclear capabilities with the assistance of devastating U.S. strikes. As tensions between Middle East rivals ramps up, a Tehran-backed candidate is also likely to win a major election to a leading role with Hamas. Khalia El-Haya, a Palestinian politician, is expected to beat out Hamas's chief Khalid Mashal in an election for head of the group's political bureau, which could be decided in the coming days Sources told Saudi Arabian outlet a shark reported. Let me give you some numbers, folks, before Adam, I come to you. Rial is like a dollar. Rial, their currency is Tuman and Rial. Like we have the dollar, that's what Iran has. In 1979, when the revolution happened and a lot of Iranians escaped and they brought their dollar, their money from Iran to here, they had, for every dollar, it would cost you 70 rials to have a dollar. So if you had 7 million rials, you're probably coming here with $100,000, just to kind of give you some numbers of what it looks like. Today, each dollar today in Iran is 1.437 million 500 rials. You want $1, you need that amount of rials to buy a dollar. It dropped 7% this week. They're saying it's going to be going to 2 million rials. There's protesting in the bazaars. Rob, I'll send you a couple of the clips here. But first, Adam, I'll come to you and I will show some of the clips of what's going on in Iran. Adam, go ahead.
Is this the beginning of the end of the Islamic Republic regime? That's a legitimate question. So, I'll pretend I'm a politician for a second. You know how politicians ask, is your life better than it was 4 years ago? Yes or no? Vote for me to change. I'll ask the people of Iran, I'll ask the people of the Middle East who have suffered through this Islamic terrorism regime. Is your life better now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 46 years ago when the Ayatollahs took over Iran? No. They're one of the top 10 countries in the misery index, inflation, unemployment, misery. They've been funding terrorism all around the world. We're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse that's going on in Minnesota, Somalia, California. How much waste, fraud, and abuse has happened in Iran, funding terror networks all over the Middle East, all over the world, for what? So you have no money? And most importantly, and here's the kicker, have no water? This is a desert, barren land. And Iran is struggling with food, their economy, and drinking water. Walk me through. Tehran faces intensifying water crisis as reservoirs decline. So they've been pouring all this money into Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, trying to tear down Israel. And look where they are now. Their people are desperate. They're revolting. Women are refusing to wear a hijab. They've killed more people in the last year than ever before in terms of their own people, hanged their own people. And how have your people been served by this? So you're going to lose people when they don't have water. You're funding terrorism, but nobody has water. So, and now are they changing? Are they shifting ideology? They're doubling down on dumb now. Now they're saying, we're going to full-on war against America, Israel, and Europe. You just got your ass kicked, Islamic Republic of Iran, and now you want to double down and try to reduplicate your nuclear strategy? The Ayatollah, who's how old now? 80-something years old. My opinion, as soon as this guy is dead, and it might come soon, that's the wrong guy, this whole regime is going to crumble, and everyone is waiting on the day for that to happen.
Here's a question, though, while you're saying that. Let's say it crumbles. Fine, it crumbles. Who's replacing them? Who? Who's going to be the replacement? What kind of a person? So the challenge isn't what's about to happen. The challenge is who is replacing this regime. A Wall Street Journal story just came out a couple days ago, day after Christmas, talking about how Iran is easing its social rules amid crisis, but crushes dissent. Live music is blaring on the streets of Tehran. Rob, you can show that one video. Women are ditching their mandatory hijabs and young people are dancing in cafes as authorities allow a degree of social freedom not seen since the Islamic Revolution of 1970. At the same time, a widespread crackdown on dissidents and have executed more people this year than in nearly 4 decades. That's what Adam was talking about. More people executed this year than nearly in 4 decades. Both moves have same objective, preserving a system still shaken by last summer's 12-day war with Israel and by sanctions that have sent the economy spiraling. The regime has one goal, and that is to make sure there's no collective action, no uprising, said Fatemeh Haghiadjou, a former member of the Iranian parliament who is now living in exile in the U.S. They fear that if they enforce the hijab, there will be another uprising. They decided they can't fight people on every corner. So what does this really mean, though? What does this really mean? I mean, do you think a person is going to come in and not see all the opportunities of stealing money from the Iranian people? I don't know. Do you think there's going to be a monarchy in Iran? Like they're going to want a monarchy back in Iran with somebody out here? You need a very, very strong personality for somebody to come in to address this. And quite frankly, I haven't seen that person yet. There aren't too many people in the world that want to see a strong personality come out that's fearless, that can stand against these guys and talk to them and sell the dream of what the future of Iran could look like. I haven't seen that person. A person that's willing to go beginning to the end to make sure Iranians will be free again. The good news is the Iranian people themselves are fed up. They're sick of it. I just hope they choose somebody, they get behind somebody that believes Iran can be free again, a place that all of us can go for vacation. We're on the mountains this weekend and doing amazing trick skiing, and everybody's taking notes on the way we're skiing. And Dylan says, "Hey, Dad, you know, does Iran have mountains?" I said, "Of course Iran got mountains and snowing." "Really?" "Yes." "Rob, can you just go to Google and put Iran skiing mountain 70s? Just type in Iran mountains skiing 1970s and just look at these pictures and go to images, okay? And look what Iran looked like. This is Iran. That's not Aspen. That's not Whistler. That's not Lake Tahoe. That's not Big Bear. That's not Montana. That is Iran, folks. Iran looked like that in the 70s. You ain't got that today. You ain't got that going on today. You got to have a hijab while you're going down skiing. It was a very different climate then than today. And because at the time, the Shani was, there's so many things I've been reading and studying lately with the Iranian Revolution that happened that it's a scary sight that these guys have had control over Iran for 46 flipping years. Anyways, let's get to the next story.
And then just to put a ribbon on this, where's the crowd that was so against America striking Iran? Where's that crowd now? The Dave Smith, the Candace, the Tuckers, where are they? Silent as hell. Because look at what America, in behalf of Israel, has done to the people of to the Iranian regime. They're about to crumble. It turns out Trump knows what he's doing, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, listen, too early to jump to conclusion as if the victory's been done. Never underestimate the power of Houthis, Hezbollah, and the IRGC to find a way to hold their people, a chokehold on their people, and not allow freedom to come their way. But anyways, let me continue. Let me continue to the next story I want to get to. Next story I want to get to is Jeffrey Epstein, folks. You ready for this? They released his Amazon orders, what this guy would order on Amazon. Things are about to get a little bit weird here, okay? So let's go through the story of what type of stuff this guy was ordering on Amazon, all right? Is it a similar order to Diddy, which was a lot of baby oil? I don't know, but let's go take a look at it, okay? Let's go read this thing here. So Jeffrey Epstein, shocking Amazon purchase history, revealed in DOJ's latest files released, including schoolgirl uniforms. I'm sure we're not surprised with that one. And kinky items. So let's see what this is. Epstein had a weakness for junk food, apparently, an obsession with binoculars. I don't know what he was trying to do.
Weird.
Well, I mean, it couldn't make sense because there were rumors about the lemon and a taste for twisted, including schoolgirl uniforms and prostate massagers. Prostate massagers.
They sell those on Amazon?
Yes. His purchase on Amazon reveals the notorious, well-documented pedophiles' buying habits are detailed as part of the trove of tens of thousands of documents being released by the Department of Justice, including 1,006 Amazon receipts from 2014 to 2019. Those automated Amazon email receipts show Epstein ordered 4 regulation girl school outfits from uniform company Cherokee to his Upper East Side men's on East 71st Street in 2018. The order included 2 types of full body dresses, twill girls, shorts, and a Tommy Hilfiger girl adjustable pleated skirt. 2 days after Christmas in 2018, the sex-obsessed money man ordered a $61.50 Sonic prostate massager, okay? that's apparently sold out right now on Amazon. No, I'm just kidding. By Prostate Health Center for Home Use Prostate Health. The records show Epstein's sordid shopping list was not random, but in fact constitute a map of power. Relational trauma psychologist Desiree Nazarian, great last name, told the Post, on April 18, 2017, he procured bottles of Vagifirm, all natural vaginal tightening pills, on herbal supplement that promised increased lubrication and libido and firmer breasts for $64.95, Vinny, which is on discount right now, $64.95, according to the records. Ironically, Epstein ordered a novelty $34 black and white prisoner's costume on August 6, 2018, exactly 10 months before he was arrested on July 6, 2019. And this last one is, he also snagged an FBI costume, pair of Israel Defense Force combat pants, IDF, a bevy of sauna hats, and 4 books of Vladimir Nabokov's, including the notorious pedophile-themed novel Lolita, records show. Okay, Tom, Vinny, what are we learning about this Amazon order? Is there anything here that's getting you to say this is craziness? Tom, I'll come to you first.
I don't, just when you think that the actual evidence can't get worse and more creepy, it does. It basically, to me, this just sort of ties a terrible ribbon around the top that if anyone had any shred of speculation, it's gone. What this shows is that there is reason they're trying to hold these files back. There were more pictures of people, pictures that were inconvenient, and there's this stuff. Nobody wants to be part of it. Everything wants to go away. And if you want it to go away, it goes away one of two ways. You put a lid on it and you put fingers in your ears, and the government just waits till the public loses interest or stops screaming. The second is you drop everything at once, let everybody get covered with mud, and then get over it. But when you keep it like this, it just keeps going and going and going. Because now people are saying, wow, oh my gosh, buying all this stuff? What a freaking creep. And now it goes back. Who was with this creep? There we go again, back in the circle. It just gets worse.
Vinny.
Yeah, I remember, what was it, a year and a half ago when we were talking about this, and Adam was like, man, nobody cares and nobody cares. But you know what? It seems like people still do care, even though we're not getting any legitimate answers, because we're not at this point, and we could all agree, we know what the hell's going on, okay? There are people at the top that are disgusting, I'm not going to call them all pedophiles, perverted pedophiles, and guys that are they just love preying on innocent, underage children, okay? Just think about it. Look how much news is happening with Minnesota fraud pan, California, and all this stuff that just a couple days ago, we saw a trove of documents that showed Bill Clinton in a hot tub like this, married Bill Clinton, you know, the ex-president of the United States, in a hot tub with blacked out faces, Epstein with little children in his arms. Now he's buying all this stuff on Amazon. And guys, it's like old news. Look at that. That's the ex-president. If that was Donald Trump, forget it. You wouldn't hear of any news. But just like what we learned with this Minnesota fraud, because it's the left, because it's the Democrats, nobody talks about it. Okay? So you know who's really in charge. But Pat, I'm not surprised. And the only comfort I feel, because you know me, and Tom, you're the first one that's ever called me the Angry Patriot, and I am where I am today, and that label, which I wear it proudly, besides having faith over fear, I have trust in God. And guys, if you stress out, okay, and you're worried, and you're frustrated like me, just know that all of them, from the Epsteins to the Clintons to whoever was involved, they're going to have to answer one day to the actual judge. So feel comfortable in your heart of hearts. If no justice is done here, they're going to get it one day, sooner or later. Just know that in your heart of hearts.
Adam.
So totally understand why people want to get to the bottom of Epstein, but let's think one thing clear. The Epstein list could have 1,000 different names on it, but the Democrats only want one name. They want Trump. That's all. Their entire identity, it revolves around hating Trump. And if you just take Trump for what you actually see, give a little timeline. I think it was 2006, Epstein gets arrested. 2007, Trump basically kicks him out of Mar-a-Lago and goes, Get the hell out of here. By 2008, Epstein has to register as a sex offender. 2015, Trump's running for president. He's doing interviews. He's doing the whole charade, going on all the shows. Out of nowhere, someone goes, so what are your thoughts on Jeffrey Epstein? Nobody knows Jeffrey Epstein at this point. So basically 2020, right? He goes, yeah, total dirtbag. That's something you probably want to ask Prince Andrew about that. And you probably want to ask Bill Clinton about that. 10 years ago, Trump said this, 2015. So my North Star is this. If Democrats had anything on Trump, don't you think they would have done it and put it out there in the last 10 years? It's such BS. What Trump is dealing with. The country is in a malaise right now because they're obsessed with the Epstein thing, and the Democrats are trying to pin it on Trump when there's literal pictures with him and Clinton and who was the guy, the Harvard guy, Larry Summers. We know about Prince Andrew, and the Democrats just want to force this Trump thing down our throat, so to speak. And I'm just not buying it.
Well, okay, there you go. I mean, the reality of it is we're learning more, and we don't know what's going to happen next. We'll see as these stories coming up. Now we know what the guy ordered with Amazon. I want to get to a couple stories. One story I do want to get to is let me see which one it is. I kind of want to go to this. Then I want to go to the DK Metcalf, which is such an important story to get into. But check this out, folks, of what they're doing with airports effective 12/26, just a few days ago. I don't want to stay on the story for too long, guys, so I may only go to one or two of you guys. So new airport DNA law now is in effect at U.S. airports. See how it could impact your holiday travel. New DNA? What? What are they talking about, new DNA? Watch this. New strict customs laws have gone into effect, allowing government officials to request tourists' DNA in some cases. Tourists' DNA in some cases. The new biometric data collection started on December 26th, just ahead of the new year. The new rule targets non-citizens entering or leaving the U.S. According to the government document seen by Reuters, travelers will now be subjected to facial recognition photos, which is normal, at the airport to help match them with existing records. Those facial recognition pictures will be stored up to 75 years, according to the documents. Under the new law, Department of Homeland Security officials may request additional biometric information, including fingerprints or DNA from non-citizens. The updated security measures are meant to defer the filing of frivolous claims and provide operational consistency. According to the U.S. government, travelers under 14 years old and those over 79 years old were exempt from these requirements. Tom, how do you feel about this?
So I think what they're trying to do is get us comfortable with a lack of privacy through safety. On one hand. On the other hand, when they say frivolous claims, I think they're talking about immigration. The two articles that I went through, I was trying to find out what frivolous claim, what are you worried about? Are these in airports, people filling out forms and correctly identifying them as visa holders versus tourists? What do you mean claims? And I couldn't find a straight answer to it, which was very concerning, because if the government doesn't give you a straight answer, it usually means that you can pretty much suspect what's there. Now, what's on the good side? What's on the good side is, okay, then if you want to keep all the biometrics on people, and then we collect all the biometrics, if we had done that at Eagle Pass, well, now then you know who's here, who's not. Guess what? You could have voting integrity. You could have a lot of things. So I've got mixed emotions here, because the government collecting data always makes me concerned that any given time, Pat, if they don't like what I'm saying, click, they turn off Tom. And now Tom can't drive a car. Tom can't go through a toll booth. All these things they can do, the bigger net that they make. One side of me worries about that. The other side of me, maybe we just now have a way to really check who's coming and going and make sure we know who's entering the country. And maybe it puts us one step closer to elections with integrity, or knowing who should or shouldn't have benefits in Minnesota. Because obviously we got to do, you don't need to do biometrics on an empty room in Minnesota. I'm not talking about fraud. I'm talking about somebody who's legitimately here on a visa.
Yeah. Similar thing happened right after 9/11, when 2 months later, in November of 2001, they introduced to us TSA. And before, if you think about before TSA, you would just walk up to the gate. There was no TSA. So right. Do you think now, Tom, bring it to 2025, are you glad we have TSA? Or do you wish we didn't have TSA and people walking through the electric, the what do you call it? When they're checking to see if you have any guns.
Metal detectors.
Metal
Yeah.
detector.
Well,
are you thinking TSA was a good idea now or a bad idea?
There's two sides of TSA. You can't say TSA unless you say Patriot Act. And Patriot Act had a bunch of bad crap that happened,
It's
and they
true.
were used for no knock, basically breaking and entering to come to do arrests, no knock seizures, no knock searches, and things like that. That was bad. But is it good that we have everybody in a world where some people's wardrobe includes suicide vests, is it good thing that we're checking to get on airplanes where they could create sudden havoc? Yes. There is a good side to TSA, but it came with the Patriot Act, which we could talk about for days, about the negative things that were inside it.
Pat, I'm anti anything that has to do with your DNA and them having any of your swab, or I'm anti all that 1000%. Also, did you guys know this? When you go to the airport and the TSA has that facial recognition, Pat, it's voluntary, but every single person just lines up and you're giving them your face over and over and over. From what I've seen, I'm one of the only ones, because I've been to the airport a bunch of times. I go, excuse me, I don't want that. I don't want my face. They go, oh, okay, just come this way. People are just willingly like sheep stepping up. And Tom, to the point where you said, if it's for voting and all that stuff, that should be, you know what? Every state should be mandatory ID. And the fact with the border situation that's happening right now, that should be a whole separate thing. Anything with swab, with DNA, with facial recognition, I'm anti that, Tom, because at the end of the day, the goal that the government wants is for us to be China. Where in China, if you break the law, they have your face, the bill in their eyes, it comes right to your house. That's the future. They want us all locked down. They want us all digital.
Vinny, I don't think it's swabs. Have you walked on an airplane where you just walk up and you go to show your boarding pass or scan it? No, don't worry about it. Just look at the iPad. And you look there and it goes, boop, and then you get on. I went to Austria a year ago and we were getting on I forget the name of the airline. No, Austria Air. And we were getting on in Miami, and there was just an iPad there. And normally at the door, you always had to show passport, boarding pass, international flights. We didn't. And that told me, wow, is that my global entry data in there? They just looked at my face and said, that's Tom Ellsworth. This is your seat. You're getting on. And guess what? It's another picture then from 2024 of Tom, because it said your picture being taken. This is all the biometric things they're talking about. Start with face. I don't think they're talking about swabs, but to your point, you don't like the database.
I don't like the database. Well, Pat, your story was DNA, wasn't it? Taking DNA.
DNA.
Tom, and you're right, because Tom, I just want people to know too, it's all slowly but surely they're making it comfortable. They just put that on there and it's voluntary. But the fact that they have it, they're telling you, look inside the camera.
This is non-citizens coming in. This is tourists.
I understand that, Pat. I understand that, but still taking DNA, because for 75 years they have their DNA. I don't trust it. I don't trust government with any. No, I'm not a fan of it at all.
Vinny, you have to pay attention to what PBD just said. If you're not an American citizen, then we should be surveilling everybody that comes in this country. We just let how many? 10, maybe even 20 million people in the country, and we don't know any of these mofos? No.
Well, that was on purpose. That was on purpose.
Sure. But citizens, American citizens, we have to grapple with whether we want more freedom or more security and safety. This was the whole situation with the Patriot Act, with surveillance and the agencies being able to communicate and wiretapping and trying to find out what the terror financing was. It's all government control. And I encourage every young man out there and every young woman out there, because we're living in it again, read the book 1984, George Orwell, Big Brother is watching you. So whether it's digital credit scores, whether it's central bank digital currencies,
I don't know.
We've talked about that.
Here's how
credit scores. What's that?
Here's how I'm processing this. So to me, what if you're running a business and you're doing your budget for 2026, and each department is telling you who they need to hire next, and let's say you're about to hire 100 people at an average salary of, I don't know, 80K, because it's some executives 200-300, and then So I'm at 50. So let's just say average salary of 90K. And you're going to hire 100 employees. 90K at 100 is what? Is that $9 million, Tom? I think it's $9 million, right? Yeah, so $9 million.
Checks out.
Okay.
Vinny, do some quick math.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do before you hire these 100 people? What do you want to know about them, Vinny?
Background check, criminal record, any criminal offenses, felonies, warrants, just basically
potentially a domestic terrorist.
Credit score. Well, I mean, if they run your social and you're a terrorist, it's going to come up. But credit score, yeah, just like top 5.
So let's flip it. Let's say the government puts out a list saying this year we're going to give away 500,000 green cards. I'm just making up a number, okay? We're going to give away 500,000 green cards. What do you want to know about these 500 people when you're looking at their applications? What do you want to know about
them? Me personally?
Yeah, you are running the FBI. You're running, border security. You're in charge of that, and you just get a report that, hey, we're going to get 500,000 green cards we're giving up in 2026. What do you want to know about these 500,000 people?
I want to know what country they're coming from. I want to know if they have a criminal record. I want to know anything in their past that might be illegal or dangerous or illicit to bringing into America. I'll start with those 3, and then we could trickle down from there.
Well, I'm happy that my spokesman Adam spoke for me, which I appreciate.
No problem.
Constituents. Country of origin, and go to that government, find out if they've ever been arrested, if they've ever had any like Interpol or any terrorist acts, anything around the country. And it's basically simple for that, Pat. It's not that much when it comes to another country. No police record. Would you go online presence if they ever said anything like F America or Death to America or stuff like that?
That's what I'm saying to you. What I'm trying to tell you is, Tom, I want to get your thoughts on this as well a little bit deeper, because it's like this. You're about to have a sleepover of 8 kids at your house. What do you want to know about these 8 kids?
Tom, what is Tom doing?
No.
Adam, don't go there. Stop. This is a fair question.
One of your kids is going to bring 8 of their friends over to do a sleepover, okay? And it's your house. What do you want to know about these 8 kids?
First of all, I want to know, do I even know the kids? And do I already know the parents? Because I have 2 daughters. So my radar is far more sensitive than maybe other people would be. When you're a girl dad, you know what? I'll tell you, until I didn't really know fear in this world. Honestly, I didn't till my daughter turned 6. And I suddenly understood and the things that could happen and what schools were allowing guidance counselors to be. So here's what I want to do. I've experienced this. Hey, Tom, somebody's having an 8-year-old birthday. The girls are going to have sleeping bags in their big family room. And I know the mom, I know the families, I know the parents. They're watching movies till 11 o'clock, and they're getting up in the morning, and then they're going to all make waffles and pancakes with the parents. Okay, any older brothers? Who else lives at that house? What's going on there? I do a freaking mental background check first on the males at the house they're staying, and then I want to know the family of everybody else. I say, wait, there's 2 other girls there that have dads that carry and are even more conservative than me. I like that. And so I do what's called underwriting.
Perfect. So going back to it, Tom, underwriting immigrants coming here, non-U.S. citizens coming here, what do you want to know about them?
Just like what Vinny said, what country are they coming from? Does the country have a reputation for reliable criminal records and those that would get reported to Interpol or international databases? Second. Third, I want to know, where's the family? Is there some record of the family? Was there a record from schools? I really want to underwrite these people. Yeah, I'm coming from Mogadishu, where I was a successful cardiologist for 30 years. Really? In what hospital in Mogadishu exactly?
Yeah, so you know where this
is not hard.
But this is where it takes me though, Tom. If you want to come to America with all the threats that's going on right now, I want everything about you. I want your blood work. Because remember in the army, Vinny, maybe you remember this, there used to be a military base in Korea that if you went there, there was an STD that if you got, they would not let you back in the country for 2 years. And I don't want to get into more details about this, but we had guys that would go to, this is U.S. military soldiers that would go to this camp, And then guess what? A lot of guys are having sex with a lot of Koreans because there was a lot of prostitution and different. So there was this one specific STD that was going around. If you had it, you ain't coming back to the country. Why not? They didn't want you to come and spread it over here. So to me, I don't know. I think it's a little too easy peasy. Just come down, do your thing. I don't know about that. Especially people that want to come here and get a green card. You want to live here. I want to know. I didn't ask you to come here. You said you want to come here. We didn't force you to come here. You're escaping your country. Well, tell me everything about your resume. I want to know everything about your resume. And if I'm not getting that, so to me, there's a part of it where, especially with what we just experienced recently, I don't know. For people that want to come here, I want every single detail about you before I allow you to come to America.
I'm with you 100%, especially. But my question is, where does the slippery slope begin? Because if they start it with these immigrants, what's going to stop them from using it on civilians? You know, remember that story when there was in California that Apple wouldn't open up the iPhone, and there was that whole thing right there. This whole conversation of like stopping terrorism but infringing on our rights, it's a delicate balance.
Nice. Go to a case study and study what works. What is the safest country in Europe?
Poland.
Why is that?
They don't allow any
lowest crime, lowest unemployment. Why is that?
No, they honestly do not accept. They don't any third world,
There's
any
a certain
Muslims,
type of people.
No, he said it. He said
they allowed Christians from Ukraine. They don't allow any Muslims from any countries to come in. Why are they so safe? What's going on with UK? By the way, I saw a number the other day. Let me give you some of these numbers here that you see with what's going on. It was a very interesting data showing what percentage of white population in different countries, what's happened. I don't know if you guys saw this or not.
No.
On the population in the States. Rob, I don't know if you have this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, 1975 U.S. white population was 83%. Today it's 59%. It's a 24% drop off. Canada's white population 75 was 95%. Today it's 70%. 25% drop off. UK went from 97 to 82. Western Europe went from 96 to 80. So guess what? If they're coming in, and by the way, I'm part of that. I'm a guy that came from Iran to Germany to here. But guess what? If you're coming in to love America, create jobs, and be a proud citizen, serve the country, and you love, this is like the true dream, great. If not, I don't know. I want to be a lot more selective of who we just allow coming in here, seeing with all the stuff that's going on around the world. Anyways, let's go to the next story. Next story I want to get to is DK Metcalf. So the Kalen Metcalf, wide receiver in the NFL, who is phenomenal at what he does. He's got one of those Calvin Johnson type of bodies for some of you guys that follow football closely. Unlike Adam, this guy Calvin Johnson was a great wide receiver for the
Detroit Lions. I'm familiar,
Lions.
sir.
He had a nickname. What was
Megatron?
His
yeah, Megatron.
Right? And just like Barry Sanders, he retired early. Here's a football player, DK Metcalf. Is on the that's DK Metcalf, okay?
Yep.
Beast of a guy. And I actually like the way he plays. On the sidelines, a fan and him, the first clip we ever see is when he goes and holds the fan's hair. Rob, if you want to play this clip, and watch how much money he lost because of this simple incident and what happened. So this is what we first saw. You want to play the clip? This is him on the sideline holding a fan's hair, and then boom, hits him.
Not going to have great
Okay,
consequences for the Steelers.
so this happens. First reaction, what the hell happened? Next thing you know, the story we get is DK Metcalf claims that fan used the N-word. Okay? He used the N-word. Now watch this. Go ahead, Rob. This is a different angle. But now go and show the clip, Rob, of a fan recording it from the back. I sent that one to you as well. And this fan is recording it, and he hears what the fan is saying to DK Metcalf. Do you have that clip, Rob? I sent that one to you as well. This is from an angle from the back. And you hear what he's calling him. And what the guy, DK Metcalf, gets upset about because he's calling him by his name, DeKalen. Okay? Rob, you should have that clip. If you got to, just pull it up. to show it. I texted to you as well with the other 2 clips, 3 total. So the fan is looking at this saying, wait a minute, there is no N-word being said. Nobody said the N-word. He didn't say, why are you saying the fan said the N-word? Rob, let us know if you have it or not, because it's in the text that I sent you, Rob. I have it. Go for it. Rob, do you have to watch it? No, not this one, Rob. Not this one. No, that's the last one I want you to show. I want you to show the other one I sent you that shows that the fan is from the other angle, that shows the fan is, do you have that one or you don't have that one? The fan shows, let me go to this one. You got to see this one. Hang on one second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other fan video.
Yeah, it's another fan video from the back. Let me
witness.
See. Is this the one? Yeah, there it is. I found it. So let me send this to you, Rob. My apologies. I didn't send you this one. I sent you the other one. So watch this one, Rob. If you were able to find it, the audience has to see this, because nowadays, man, if you don't have this stuff in place and a celebrity can go out there and say, yeah, use the N-word, it's automatic. You're like, dude, your life is ruined for saying something like that. Okay, watch this clip here, Rob. The one I just sent, you should have it. It says, Daycare doesn't like being called his government name. I don't know what that means, but it says it doesn't like to be called
his real name.
Government. Fan of calling him the N-word and his mother the C-word. So DK told the NFL that he called him the N-word and his mother the C-word. Can you think about that? But watch this. Go ahead, Rob.
New Jersey. Hey, DK, don't sign it. DK, don't sign it. DK. He about to throw them over the way. Man. He knows he has to play. Hey, DK. DK. Yup.
Okay. Then this guy does a press conference, gets emotional because he says he's getting death threats. Watch this clip here. The fan is doing this, and you have to know how much money this cost him. Okay. Not only does DK, is this it? Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
To be crystal clear about one thing, I didn't use any racial slurs, no hate speech. I mean, none of that stuff at the game. Actually, never. 15 years season ticket holder for the Lions. I've never done that at all. So, to Kalen, if you're watching this, man, if you could just say that, please. Like, my family's getting threats and stuff, and it's not cool. So, whether you said that or not, I'm sure you didn't want that to happen to the family. Even if you did, like, I forgive you, man. Yeah, that's all I got. Go on.
Okay, check this out. Watch what happens here. Number one, NFL suspends him for 2 games. The 2 games he got suspended will cost him $555,000 in salary for those 2 games. But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is early reports indicated that Metcalf had a $45 million guaranteed money that is officially voided due to the suspension. $25 million was guaranteed in 2026, and $20 million was guaranteed in 2027. Because he got suspended those 2 games, he is no longer guaranteed those 25 games. This is reports that came out from a bunch of different guys that were talking about it in the sports media side. So, Vinny, I'll come to you first here. How do you process this when you saw what happened here with DK Metcalf?
Well, the first thing, Pat, that you read, good for him, okay? Because your freaking actions have consequences, all right? You signed up to play football. People are gonna talk trash. Deal with it. He called you by your government name, okay? But, Pat, there's a clear pattern here, and people are afraid to say, okay? This isn't the first time that this has been happening where minorities are yelling racism, and they get in trouble for it. Remember Jesse Smollett walking around saying, oh, a noose around his neck, MAGA people in Chicago beat me up, and they said, effing man, and they said the N-word to me, okay? Then it happened again with Bubba Wallace at NASCAR. He's like, by the way, his career was going to crap. Me and Tom talked about this. He's like, they put a noose in our garage. It wasn't a noose. It was just a rope that hangs that opens up and closes the garage. Yelling racism is absolutely ridiculous because it diminishes the word. Like when I say people call Trump Hitler, now the word Hitler is like, no wonder why people in these groups are like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Because if Trump is Hitler, then Hitler's actually not even that bad of a guy, if you really think about it. And what's the other one? Remember the Covington, Nick Sandman? He's just sitting there smiling, and the Indian guy was banging the thing in his head. He just sit there like, oh, that's racist. Oh, he's racist. It's like all four of these cases, Pat, accusations come first, then the truth comes in later on. We live in a culture, well, yelling racism is almost like a shield, okay? It shuts down questions, it skips evidence, and then when real racism is gonna happen, people are gonna be like, okay, man, whatever. We don't want to hear it because it's like the boy who cried wolf. I think it's stupid, Pat. I think it's hard to take stuff like this serious. And again, you want to lie in this day and age, and I'm happy that they had cameras. $45 million. That's not some chump change. I know he's already rich, but good for him. Good for him. And not because that guy's back. Even though he sat there in front of a camera and admitted, I didn't say it, there's a camera, he's still going to get death threats. He's still going to have people looking for him because in this day and age, let's say 80% are going to see it, or maybe 70% are going to see that it was a lie. There's still another 30% out there that's like, that white boy said the N-word, go get his ass. So it's not, it's BS. He should pay for his security for a year. That's what DJ, whatever his name is, should freaking give him. It's ridiculous.
Well, point one, Taverni, speaking of security, if anybody's been to an NBA game, and I haven't been to an NBA game in a long time, but I know what goes on, and I've seen what happens in the NFL, there is security at the perimeters, and all a player has to do is point to a fan and flip out, and security will come and walk them up and talk to them, and you may get your game ticket, as they called, scratched. They tear your ticket. Back in the old days, it used to be called they tear your ticket and you have to leave the stadium. You're gone. You're kicked out. If you did something really terrible, you're not allowed to come back to that stadium for games. So number one, that. Number two, did DJ Metcalf look like a man who had just been called the most offensive term to his race, and that someone had said one of the most offensive things to his mom? Did he look like that guy? Or did he just like a guy that just said, man, F you, and walk away? That's what I saw. I didn't see a man that looked like he was flipped out. I didn't see a guy that's calling for, there's security there. He knows where they are. He just waves at them and says, I want this guy out. That's how players work. Now, the guaranteed contract, let me share what this means. DJ Metcalf has to stay healthy because contracts in certain sports are not guaranteed. They're paid out as a % of playing time. So if you played 8 games one year and got an ACL, if it's not a guaranteed contract, you only get the 8 games you played, and the second half of that year is unpaid because you were injured. A guaranteed contract goes to the best athletes that say, well, if you want me to sign this, I'll play for you, but it's $20 million a year and it's got to be guaranteed. If I've already been in the league 5 years, they're like, look, this guy's an all-star. This guy's a Pro Bowler. We got to give him the guaranteed contract. But then there's clauses, moral turpitude. You do something crazy. You get drunk. You use drugs. You violate domestic violence, violate the league's policies, and you lose those protections of a superstar. Well, guess what just happened? Because he didn't play for the full year, and because this was a league discipline, now the Pittsburgh Steelers says, well, you better stay healthy because you're going to get your contract if you stay healthy. But if you get hurt now, it's no longer guaranteed.
Adam, your thoughts?
For DK Metcalf, man, he's one of the most talented players in the NFL. But this was a dumb decision. So, you know, they say that you're the sum of the decisions that you make. Life can turn instantly by one decision, good or bad. You make one stupid decision, your life changes. You lose $40 million. You get in a car accident. You end up in the wrong room. You get arrested. You make the right decision. You end up in the right room. You end up with the right people. Life can change real quickly, real instantly. So what's the message here for DK Metcalf and to the people out there? Make smart decisions, because one stupid decision can cost you money, your reputation, possibly even your life and your legacy. And this comes down to leadership, because DK Metcalf I think he's played for Seattle the last 6 seasons. I want to say this is his first year in Pittsburgh. The head coach is a Hall of Fame coach, Mike Tomlin. Their quarterback is the oldest quarterback in the league, Aaron Rodgers. Leaders on leaders on leaders. How did they not get to him before this? You know, you said on the last episode, PBD, it starts with the top leadership. How do you not understand that you can't do things like this? You know what this is reminiscent of? Who were they playing? The Detroit Lions? This game was in Detroit. We had a guy on the podcast not too long ago, Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, famous, not for what his on the court play, but for his off the court antics that led to the Malice in the Palace. The Palace is where the Detroit Pistons play, right down the street from the Detroit Lions. NFL players, NBA players, professional athletes, be very careful before you travel to Detroit, because you might end up fist fighting a fan and end up getting suspended and losing millions of dollars. Buyer beware, Detroit. Bad boys.
There you go. Okay, so $45 million, which, by the way, no one knows whether the Steelers are going to imply those sanctions and fines against them with a $45 million. They can choose to say, you know, that they're not going to do that. Matter of fact, Vinny just sent a story right now saying that he reportedly, the Steelers are not going to be imposing those $45 million guaranteed, you know, protocols on them. That's a Steelers decision. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, Steelers coach is a player's coach and they love playing for him. But the NFL has got to be able to say something about this, to say you can't just drop those two words. If you investigate and that didn't happen, the NFL is responsible for saying, nope, the fan never said that. Because then the NFL is not protecting the fans, which is the fans that keeps the business, the company in business. So we'll see this whole thing's in the end.
Pat, a 10-year season ticket holder in Detroit, 15. A white guy yelling, 15, I'm sorry, yelling the N-word in Detroit with black people surrounded. How stupid does that sound?
No, I don't think.
How ignorant do you think that guy is? 15 years in there, and he's always been going at DJ Metcalf. He's going to yell the N-word right there in front of everybody. Yeah,
I'm with Vinny on this. I'm with Vinny on this.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Chance. By the way, if he was shutting that, everyone around him would have whooped his ass. So, DK, this is on you, brother.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm trying to bring a guest here to see if they're going to bring this guest for me to introduce to you guys.
Santa Corky?
Let me try to see if I can get a hold of this guest or not. We'll see if there's going to be an appearance or not. Let me get to this story here. It's a lot of stuff. Yesterday, there was a big press conference with the president and Zelenskyy. Rob, I'm sure you have a couple clips there yourself. Let me read a couple of this, and we'll go with some of them. So Trump and Zelenskyy say they're nearly in agreement on Ukraine peace deal. They are near. And while they're saying this, being near towards a peace deal, let me read this to you. And this is right after, while they're saying this is going to be happening, ahead of the meeting, Putin attacks one of the locations. Let me read this to you. President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy met in Florida at Mar-a-Lago to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. Days after Zelenskyy said he had a good conversation with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Mr. Trump's son-in-law. Trump said Sunday that he had good and very productive call with the Russian president. Rob, if you have any clips on this, saying they're getting close to it. They drafted a 20-point plan agreed upon U.S. and Ukrainian negotiations under review by the Kremlin, although Moscow has shown no signs of budging on its territorial demands. Zelenskyy said Sunday he and Mr. Trump are 90% agreed on the plan. Both call on territorial issues like the Donbas a very tough question. Zelenskyy urged Ukraine's partners on Sunday to keep up their efforts, their support after Russia attacked Ukraine's capital city of Kiev just on Saturday. Rob, if you got a clip, go ahead and play the clip.
Showing misspelled signs, locked doors, empty.
Different clip, Rob.
Rob, do you have a clip?
We'll speak tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank President Trump for a great meeting at this amazing place in his home in Mar-a-Lago. And we had a really great discussions on all the topics, and we appreciate the progress that was made by American and Ukrainian teams in these recent weeks. Special thanks to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and thank you to for their engagement and full commitment, and also to our team, and first of all to Rustem Umerov and General Gnatov, and to all our teams. And we discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees 100% agreed. US, Europe, Ukraine security guarantees almost agreed. Military dimension 100% agreed. Prosperity plan being finalized, and we also discussed the sequencing of the following actions. And we agree that security guarantees is the key milestone in achieving lasting peace, and our teams will continue working on all aspects. We also had a joint productive call.
We get the idea. Tom, your thoughts on this? Are we making any progress, or nothing's going to happen because of Russia?
Well, no, I think they're making progress because it hasn't become a 10-point plan. It was like 22 or 20, right? It's still a 20-point plan. And if you listen carefully, the two things that he amplified 4 things, but 2 of them he amplified a lot, and 1 of them he did twice, security. And then the prosperity plan. So he mentioned security twice. What is that? Remember the first thing they wanted when Trump got in office? I want you to give me a backstop treaty so that United States is the backstop if I'm attacked by Russia. Wait a minute. Russia's not going to want that because it's almost like a NATO country, us, is giving NATO protections to Ukraine. And that was exactly one of the issues that Putin and Russia was upset about. So there's some sort of a security plan that's in there that they've always wanted NATO, or at least the United States, to give them some sort of assurances that there's going to be a big brother around if Russia comes back, number 1. Number 2, the prosperity plan. I want to know who's paying for it, because, Ukraine has been very good at dragging its feet, changing its mind, coming back, and it always ends with aid, billions of dollars worth. So I want to see what that is. What's also interesting, Trump said something. He said, look, I don't think I have to do it. I don't think I'll be going over there, but I'd be willing to talk to the Ukrainian parliament. I'd be willing to go make a speech to the parliament and talk to them about, hey, these are certain things you have to give up, because it really comes down to one thing with Russia. I'm keeping most of what I stole, specifically Donbass. Crimea, I think we're still flipping a coin over, but Russia wants Donbass and Crimea. Ukraine wants to be protected almost like a member of NATO, and Ukraine wants a bunch of money. I think we're making progress, and I look at the tone of Zelenskyy. Pat, what did you think of his tone reading through his points this time compared to 6 months ago and then 10 months ago, where he's sitting there about to have a hissy slap with J.D. Vance in the Oval Office?
Listen, Tom, I want to be able to say, I think we're making progress, and I think he's in a place that he wants to work with the Amazon. No, until I see that done, I don't trust Zelenskyy's motives. The only thing I trust I trust Trump's and his team's ability to push the envelope for Zelenskyy to be like, I better get my act together. That I trust. Do I trust him? And if he's going to make it work and accelerate, I don't trust him as a friendly partner to negotiate with. Not at all. It's very clear what Putin wants, and Trump's probably stuck in the middle, not knowing what to do. But I have somebody that wants to say hi. Come here, baby.
Tell her I want to say hi to her, please.
Say hi to you. She wants to say hi. It's only
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. How much do you love Uncle Vinny?
Where's Vinny?
Vinny's right there. You see Vinny?
I can't see him.
Say hi, Vinny.
Hi, Brooke.
He's in his room. But say hi, Vinny. Say hi to Vinny.
I love you.
Okay, by the way, did you get good gifts for Christmas? Was it good? Yeah? Were you naughty, or was it good stuff? Good stuff? Yes? What was your favorite gift?
Nail polish.
Nail polish.
Oh.
First of all,
what about, did you get her any ice cream?
Division of Santa Claus got her nail polish. Who loves you, baby?
Mm.
Okay, go back. I just want to say hi. Say bye to everybody. Say bye-bye.
Bye, Brooklyn. So adorable.
She's the best.
Pat, I love your spaceship that you're living in while you're out of town right now.
People thought this is a backdrop. They're like, this is just a backdrop.
It's a real thing.
Well, we just
I don't know if you guys recognize this backdrop. This is called I live in a studio right here. Live in a van down by the river.
So, final thoughts on this Ukraine-Russia thing before we move on.
Can I go after Adam? I have
Adam, go ahead.
I mean, it's so apparent at this point that everything in geopolitics is a binary option, and we have to suffer with picking the lesser of two evils. You know, everyone's like, oh, I don't like Trump. It's like, all right, well, what do you got? Kamala? What do you got? Joe Biden? Well, I don't like Zelenskyy. It's like, well, you're rooting for Russia now? You're rooting for Putin? Well, I'm not a fan of Israel. So now you like Hamas? And that's the reality of this subject, that life is not just black and white. It is gray. Trump's trying to negotiate and make this peace deal happen. But at the end of the day, it's very clear. We're on the side of Ukraine, as much as people didn't want to fund this. And I get that. Zelenskyy is not exactly a fan favorite over here, but he's doing a press conference with Zelenskyy, trying to figure this out. And you have this thug Putin who came to Alaska, I want to say 5 months ago, summertime, 6 months ago, and nothing came of it. In my opinion, Putin doesn't want to stop this war. He's keeping the war machine going. That's all he's got going on out there. They got oil and military and vodka is what's going on in Russia. And the Ukrainians and the Poles and the people in Europe are paying the price.
Vinny.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some geopolitical, expert, because I'm not. But Adam, as the average American, I am sick and tired of seeing that little Zelenskyy dancing, little belly dancing freaking monkey. I'm tired of it. Okay, we all know what the hell. By the way, this is a war that started under Biden because he let it happen. He even said it's okay if Russia does a little minor incursion. He welcomed it, okay? And as we all know, which Tom spoke about, it's a money laundering scheme. All the defense contracts and all that, everything is coming right back and coming right back to Washington, okay? And they propped him up as a freaking saint. During the Oscars, they were showing like Zelenskyy as if we were supposed to.
It's actually my favorite part about him.
Yeah, we were told that you guys should love him, and Putin price hike, and Putin this, and Russia bad. And Adam, I'm not saying I can care less about both of them, but our money, all the people, as if we don't have enough stuff, enough problems here, $18 billion of fraud, our money is just getting siphoned off to Ukraine in a war that we all know they were going to lose. There's no winning. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of freaking Ukrainians, Russians dead, doing conscription, driving up to fathers, walking their dogs, grabbing them and throwing them inside of vehicles, and then seeing them die with drones coming in and killing them, Adam, and wearing pins. Oh, I'm next to the American flag. I'm with Ukraine. BS, brother. BS. I'm just sick and tired.
Vinny, simple question for you.
Yeah.
What involvement do you want the United States with the rest of the world?
With the rest of the world, or are we staying specific to this?
No, like, do you want to have any foreign policy whatsoever, or are we just going to be isolationist? Simple question.
Adam, at this point, there's no going back, because we gave ourselves the title of the police of the world, okay? And that's the problem that we're in, Adam, because being a guy that worked at a nuclear missile base, we could just sit here and say, if anybody messes with us, we will blow up because we can, Adam. We have the capability of blowing everybody up. I think having good relationships, but we've poked our nose and we've spread ourselves to everybody where if anything happens, we have to be involved. With this situation, Adam, we get how much money, Pat, have we given to them, to Ukraine?
A lot of money.
How
Over
much?
100 billion. Yeah, I mean,
$100 billion, Adam. And I see veterans with mental issues and shit in the streets of America. Meanwhile, we have to care about Ukraine. What the hell does Ukraine give a damn about us, Adam?
I hear you. And we covered a lot of waste, fought, and abuse. I'm just asking a simple question. Where do we stick our nose in? Where do we not? Because you were a huge fan of Trump saving the Nigerian Christians. So,
yes.
like, when do you get to pick and choose what we're doing?
Are you ready for this? Adam, are you ready for this? You're talking about Christians with no guns, no nothing, just their faith and their church getting slaughtered. Okay, that's a difference than a freaking Zelenskyy, who's a puppet put in to go against Vladimir Putin because
Aren't
they kept
Ukrainians
hold
Christians?
on, let me finish.
Aren't Ukrainians Christians?
Hold on a second, Adam. You're conflating two different things. You're talking about
I'm just trying to save Christian lives.
Adam, if you please let me finish, then you could talk. You cannot compare defenseless Christians sitting in church praying and ISIS coming and killing them, and Donald Trump saying enough is enough and striking small ISIS houses to let them know what's up. Then Zelenskyy basically being our puppet, inching closer and closer and closer to NATO and Russia. Hold on, which they said, don't come leave Leave it here. Leave it alone. You can't compare the two, Adam.
So you don't care about the Ukrainian Christians?
I do. Adam, that's such a weak argument. Or are they sitting there defenseless?
I feel like I'm dumber after your response, by the way.
Are they starting? You acting like Ukraine and Vladimir? Who's telling Vladimir to do what, Adam? He comes to the White House. He does what he wants. He doesn't wear suits. Oh, but Lindsey Graham and all them are like, we got to keep giving them money, Adam. There's a huge difference between people in church that are praying to God and getting murdered than Vladimir Putin, the puppet, who's pushing us to go to war with Russia. That's
so
what
the point is. So the point is,
war.
we can't be isolationist, and we do need to have peace through strength throughout the world. And we can't just bury our head in the sand and say, no, we can't fund anything, because there's nuance to this. And we do need to get involved in the world, because if we don't step up, then other countries are going to fill that vacuum, i.e. China, i.e. Iran, i.e. Russia. And we do need to have some sort of formation of semblance of a foreign policy, and not just be a monkey and be like, no money for anything, because there are certain things that we do care about around the world.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hey guys, there is a difference between a surgical strike to support a president who can't run his own country and needs help with ISIS, and it's a surgical strike. If that escalates into something, then we're all dumb and we've all been deluded.
I want to say something.
Like the surgical strike that we did in Iran.
Well, then now the other side is you got this war in Ukraine that really is a war in Ukraine, but you have to remember $30 billion went to the government to pay all their checks, and there's a bunch of fraud in it. $80 billion went to the U.S. defense industry. Wait, I thought we gave it to Ukraine for defense. Who did they buy the stuff from? Who did they buy it from? Most of it was bought from us. They also bought it from France. They also bought it from UK, but the majority of the defense stuff. So if you don't think the last 2 years, which was Dow 5,800 coming back to Dow 6,700, was in part funded by the Ukraine war, you're not paying attention. Right. So it's one thing to have this war. I call it this terrible, this war that also is wrapped in this horrible fraud. And it's this round trip going back to campaign coffers and defense contractors. It's one thing for that, which all of us should be upset about, and the surgical strike to help Christians.
But let me say this. A lot of this Ukraine-Russia stuff we've talked about a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I want to take a complete different angle on this. And for us to, you can show everyone's faces as long as Adam's head is not down. You can show everyone's faces. So let me tell you what happened. Yesterday, we went and watched the latest 17-hour Avatar movie. Whatever the movie was, like 3.5 hours. And I'm sitting there watching. Movie ends. We go get this incredible crepe. Chicken and pesto and cheese in it.
Crepe therapy.
Got the crepe with Nutella, strawberry, banana, and they even had red velvet crepe. It's just ridiculous. So, anyways, let me stay focused here. I couldn't wait to see my son Tico to debrief about the movie, but Tom decided to walk the opposite direction after I came to get Tom and Vinny, and they thought it was a good idea without telling me. So we're now driving different directions. And anyways, I finally find these guys. Cops are pulling me over. They're like, hey, and then cops say, oh, I watch your podcast. I'm like, can I go? He lets me go. Anyways, the story of the Avatar was the following. At the beginning, the family that wants to live where they live in Sully and, eventually becomes one of these avatars, and they're living there and they're peaceful and their God, what's their God called?
Awa. Awa's God.
And so then all of a sudden, one of the boys finds all these weapons, M16s, AK-47s that were dropped in the middle of the ocean. He finds it and he brings it. And he says, look at these weapons we found. If we want to fight these humans, we need these weapons. And the leader's like, no, guys, because the last thing you want is that weapon in the hands of the wrong person. It's over. No, but we have them. We're good people. He says, no, we don't want these weapons because the wrong person is going to get their hands on it. Anyways, long story short, there is the evil lady that you guys have to see in a movie. I don't know what her name is, but she worships the devil in a movie. Very creepy scenes, couple of them very sexual and erotic, but she gets her hands on the weapon. When she gets her hands on the weapon, she realizes how powerful it is. Then the colonel comes up from the Marine and finds out the way to get back to Sully, he has to use this lady, the devil. And he says, I'll give you as many weapons as you want, and shows additional things and all this other stuff. They team up. They use these weapons to destroy. Then there's a scene where the whales of the Avatar Island that they live on, the whales are apparently these wise whales that they tell you, no, we're not going to go to war. This is not what we want to do. The whales leave. Then they eventually realize they're about to lose their land to these people that are going to come and take it over. Then the whales finally give permission for the people to be violent. Okay? So what's the moral of the story here? Here's the moral of the story. The moment a weapon is created, the moment you kill someone's son, which is what happened in Avatar, you kill someone's father, you kill someone's wife, you kill someone's mother, what do you think you need to do to eliminate that level of hate and revenge that's in their bones? And how long do you think those revenge in their bones and their blood is going to go away? A month later? A year later? 10 years later? A generation later? 2 generations? What do you think happens? This is why the moment, Adam ate the apple, and sin became something that was normal for us, the rest is history. So I don't think these things are going to stop. I think these things are going to continue for a long time because vengeance are in the blood of Ukrainians, Russians, Hamas, Iran, Israel, America. Everybody is doing whatever they can to protect their own, and you just got to decide who you want to team up with. I don't think this is going to go away. I think nastiness is going to be around for a while. I think the main thing you're trying to do is to find ways to eliminate present and future wars in the most creative way possible, known behind closed doors. Some countries are cashing checks to create division within America. And by the way, who the hell knows who's an agent or not? Who the hell knows who's working for MI6 or CIA or Mossad or not? Who knows that? Who knows who's funded or not? Who knows whose opinions change all of a sudden or not? Nobody knows it. You know how long it typically takes to find out who's really behind it that was dividing a great country? 20, 30, 40 years? Sometimes it takes that long. So we may not know what's going on. The challenge is going to be who you're going to believe, who you're going to trust, and who you're going to sit there and say, those people seem reasonable. Those people seem this. I don't know. We're going to do what we're going to do. And for those guys that tuned in on the 29th, we love the fact that you're also crazy enough that you're interested in these stories. 4 of us sitting here talking about these types of conversations. We appreciate the support of what you guys are doing. I think we're going to do a podcast on the 31st, Wednesday, which is the 31st. And then on that day, I will share with you guys, for some of you guys that don't do this annually, I would encourage you to do a vision planning on New Year's Eve with your wife, kids, your family, everybody together to plan on what things are going to happen in 2026, because I am very, very optimistic of what's going to happen in 2026 and the future. As crazy as things are, I'm extremely optimistic about the future. Having said that, God bless everybody. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
PBD, be careful for those bears out there in Aspen, okay?
Get them, though, because I got a guy that knows how to wrestle with them. He wrestles.
Be very careful out there.
Guys.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Bye-bye.